Still in the shot. Cool. And we're live. So welcome to episode 1 of Game Transformation Live. Sorry, I got so much going on. We're setting up some technical difficulties. But yeah, so in this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into my own personal transformation with game and how it impacted my life. So starting from my origin point, going all the way to becoming a dating coach and beyond. And yeah, what I'm going to share with you guys is basically my story of what it was like. So through all the 5 phases of game, all the trials, the tribulations. And yeah, so now is the first official announcement that my course Game Transformation goes live on September 11th. So it's about 2.5 weeks away, I think 3 weeks away. And yeah, if you guys really are interested in this, then go down below to austensummers.com/VIP or type it in. And basically you can get on the VIP list. And on that list, you will have infield footage that you won't get anywhere else. It's not going to be on my YouTube. It's never going to surface. It's only through that one list. You get a free bonus infield for signing up. And yeah, so in this video, I want to basically take you guys through my journey in game. Also, the next chat I do of this, the next live stream I'm going to have to do on StreamYard, because I don't think there's a way to share my screen on YouTube, which is really bizarre. So let's see. Yeah, I don't think there is a way. Okay, so there's no way to share my screen. That's great. But yeah, if you go to austensummers.com/VIP, you guys can get on the VIP list. And yeah, I guess I'll tell you a bit about the course before we hop in. So this is a course I've been working on for over 2 years directly on the course. The material that I've built around this has been going on since I found out about game. So back in 2012 is when I first found out about game. And I've been taking notes meticulously for over a decade now. And that, like, it's just like this body of knowledge, kind of like a giant book that I've been constantly adding to, constantly refining, taking things away, stripping away the non-essentials, and creating into this like epic, almost resource that you can use. So the course right now, as it sits, I think there's 212 videos, right, Carl? There's 212 videos in the course. And it basically covers a lot of different ways that you could go about meeting girls. So I have some people in my that have been going through it. All they want to do is meet girls in person, and they do that, and they get a lot of success with that. They follow the formula I have in there for that. Some people just want to do online game, so they use my text game stuff in there. Some people, they want to use more fancy stuff. They've already gone through the game transformation journey, so they're using Instagram ads. Some people, there's a bunch of different ways to go about it. So I've created basically like the one-stop shop, the one resource that you can have, and then you'd never need anything else. I'm never going to make another course. I'm never going to say, hey guys, now that you got the approach course, now you need this course. No, there's one course you buy. It has literally everything you need. Hey guys, and the value is absolutely ridiculous. I actually have an old immersion student who lost access to the course that I was making, like, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And he just hit me up. He's like, hey man, out of relationship. Let me, I can't, where's the course? So I sent him his password reset for, he goes and he's like, holy fuck, bro. There's so much here. Literally everything is here. So yeah. But yeah, let's go into some of the other things. So that's part of it. But the main thrust of the course is that it's basically the most optimized way to learn game, because it doesn't do you any good if you, like John just said here, he says the game encyclopedia. It is that, but it doesn't do you any good if there's just like, it's just everything there and it's just in a random order. And it's like, you're trying to like talk to girls, but you're nervous. And then like, you're just reading stuff about pulling and it's all confusing. So the best way to learn game is in phases. So as a dating coach for over a decade, I've seen guys repeatedly progress in the same exact ways. And if there's one thing I've learned that, you know, every single man has to go through, it's these 5 steps, and they are the following. First is the desensitization phase. So every guy starts his journey paralyzed by anxiety, unable to say hello to a girl. And the first phase of game is basically to numb this feeling so he can relax and start conversations. So if you can't even start a conversation or talk to a girl, you can't do anything else. So we solve that first. The next struggle he has is keeping girls engaged in the conversation. So that's when we go into the vibe phase. So in this phase, we give you the tools to express yourself, to master communication, so you can draw women in with a fun vibe and they really enjoy being around you. Your personality at this phase also starts to open up and you're able to express yourself and be more authentic. The next we have sexualization phase. So after you get a girl's attention, you're going to get in conversations that just kind of lead to nowhere. They're fun. Maybe girls do want to see you again, but there's no real dick behind your interactions. You know, the girls may be laughing, they may be smiling, but there's like no sexual tension, no spark, no real intense chemistry, no like passionate tension. And so in this phase, the point is to teach you how to show up as a sexual man. And then the next kind of roadblock a guy gets into is he's having these fun and sexual interactions, but he doesn't know where to lead it from there. Girls are gazing into his eyes, they're playing with their hair, they're touching him, they're laughing at his jokes a little too hard, but he doesn't know how to seal the deal. So the next phase that you get to is how to take her home on the first night, how to set up a date, how to, run a date. And then at that point, your results start to hit this inflection point where you're having good interactions and you're leading them forward. So if you're proactively understanding, you practically understand and execute the strategy to have awesome girls in your life, you're going to be getting a lot of crazy results. And that leads into the final phase where you're sleeping with girls, you're having the experiences you've always wanted, but it still takes a lot of effort, a lot of thought. It's still kind of mechanical. You still have to think yourself through it. So finally, we guide you to the promised land where game is automatic, where you can approach anyone, anytime, anywhere. And you can basically do that shit with a blindfold on. So that's the game transformation journey. And that's how I've organized this course, is that you go from step to step to step, right? Through the 5 phases. It's like, if you were learning how to play basketball, any good basketball coach is not going to have you shoot a 3-pointer. He's going to start you with, holding the ball, tying your shoes, dribbling the ball before you get into 3-pointers and, what's called, what's the one where you just toss it off the back? A layup. So, and it wouldn't make sense for you to learn some kind of like Michael Jordan fadeaway jumper if you don't know how to, shoot a free throw. So basically there's a natural sequence and order you must follow to get good at any skill set. And game is no different. So game transformation follows this fundamental logic that other coaches and programs just blatantly ignore. And then, yeah, it's kind of like a pyramid, right? You have to have a good base of your pyramid before you work your way up. You have to learn how to hunt before you learn how to farm, right? So a lot of people, you'll hear about things, you're like, oh man, what about this cool thing? What about being a promoter? What about social circle? What about just getting a boat? What about all these other things? This is what I put into category 6. This is phase 6 of game. It's called next level game. So once you've learned the skill set of game, you've learned how to talk to women, you've learned how to, flirt with them, you've learned how to make them comfortable around you, you learn how to lead those toward a close, you learn how to basically get these social reps so that you're a natural, cool, funny, interesting guy. Then you can level up your skill set, so next level game, and attach some kind of cool funnel to that. Or example would be like, having access to girls through Instagram, or using TikTok to leverage comedy videos to get girls. There's so many cool strategies that we have outlined in the course that only make sense once you've gone through that system, right? So you've naturalized in game. Yeah, some of the bonuses I have for this course. So that's like the core material of this course. Every single phase has its own mindset section, an overview section. Every single lesson is built with missions. So it's not just me ranting about here's the cool stuff to do. It's here's what you actually do after listening to this that's going to get you the result that is promised in the video. So an example would be desensitization. So in the desensitization phase, when you're getting used to just approaching girls, talking to girls, I have an entire plan that you follow, kind of like a workout plan, right? If you want to, you know, build your chest, you're going to have a, pretty good upper body workout routine that says, hey, do these sets, do these reps, and this will give you the result. Here's how much rest time you need. It's the same thing that I do in this course. You can almost think of it as like a personal training course for game where you just follow the missions and you get the results. I built this course around the idea that how would I make something that if someone bought it, it would be impossible for them to fail. So one of the main bonuses I have in this course is 365 accountability. So you're going to get like an accountability train ran on you. Listen, you'll be walking funny, but at least you'll be getting results. So one of the things is we have an accountability partner section and a wingman locator. And what it does is it basically partners you with someone who you can have a wingman in your city in real life. You can have accountability partners that you form a mastermind with, that you meet in like a small group. So you can talk about things that you're going through and basically have support, advice, and community. So one of the main ways that you can get better at game is building your environment and the people around you to facilitate that. All right, so that's a bonus. Another bonus is real life infield. So I have a shit ton of infields in this course, and it's organized by year. It's not organized by like, here's just some cool ones. Here's me bragging about who I am. No, you're going to see me fucking suck at game. You're going to see the cringe. You're going to hear my voice be like Mickey Mouse. You're going to then see me get better, but still there's a little bit of awkwardness there, maybe some things that I'm not doing correctly. Then you'll see me transition to the naturalization phase and how that looks like. What does it look like after you've been doing game for 5 years, after 10 years? So you can see my transformation through the infields as well. Next, we have 50 player interviews. So, what's better than just one great mentor is 50. So there are things that I will just blatantly say that I'm not an expert in. I'm not an expert in being a promoter, but I've interviewed 3 promoters and kind of backwards engineered exactly how they do things. Every single person that I interviewed for the course, I also asked them, what is your transformation story in game? Where did you start out? What were some of the things that you were struggling with? So you can see all the top guys in the world at game. What were they struggling with? David Bond, who's had, harems and had like 12 sums with girls. What was he struggling with starting out? How did he get better at this? You hear things that they've never even brought up because I'm asking very piercing questions. So, yeah, every single guy's journey from loneliness and frustration to the place where they had abundance, so they started getting success with women. And I don't stop there. I always go to phase 6, which is how do you meet girls now? What does your funnel look like now? Do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a wife? What's your exit plan for game? What are you looking forward to in the future? Right? So it's like past, present, and future. So you can see that everything is a journey. Everything is a transformation. We're not static. You're not stuck where you currently are forever. In fact, one of the only truths about the universe is that everything is in constant flux. Everything's changing. This moment will never be the same as the next. So you get to see that through the interviews. You get a group chat to connect with other people in the course. You get a dating tracker. So this didn't exist. So I had to create it. And we're on version 3 of it, which you get access to. It basically is like a place to organize your field reports, take notes on girls that you've met so that you can use them for following up and texting the girl. It's a black book, so you can keep track of like the girls that you've banged, and it's a date calendar, and it's kind of like a CRM, so you can like basically manage where girls are in your funnel. So like where they start out, and then also like dragging them down the funnel to a place where you're dating them, etc. So anyway, yeah, so you don't let girls fall through the cracks. It's kind of annoying now that girls are all on these different platforms, right? They're on like Instagram and Snapchat and Number so this keeps track of them all in one place so that you can understand who do you need to follow up with, and then you can also check off the girls that you're either you don't want to talk to again, or they just stop responding or whatever. Get rid of them, and then you can drag on the girls that are new leads and girls that you want to keep as fuck buddies or perhaps a girlfriend. Cool. You get lifetime access to this course. So you buy once, you access forever. No hidden fees, no subscriptions, no bullshit. If there's one thing I hate in this world, it's subscriptions. The way I do everything, I kind of go against marketing trends and what a lot of people say, because the idea of paying monthly for something makes me want to die. So basically you buy once, you access forever. Next thing is never ending updates. This will be constantly refreshed with new videos, new interviews, resources. That means that as technology updates, as culture changes, as apps change, you will have new information in the course. The principles of the game transformation journey will always be the same. It's kind of like sales. They're just timeless seduction principles that will always be the same. However, it'll be constantly updated with, as apps change, as cool new little niche strategies update. Like now we have TikTok. So you can basically use TikTok as a way to meet girls. Cool. Next, you get all the banned YouTube videos. So there's a few videos on my YouTube that you guys may have noticed are not there anymore. And that's because they either got flagged, they got banned, it started causing controversy. So I took those down and I put them onto the course. Cool. And then, ChatGPT, this is a great example of a new technology. So OpenAI obviously has ChatGPT, and it is something that I've written over 50 prompts myself. So you can use the power of AI to kind of enhance your dating life. So one example I'll give you is, instead of finding out where to game in your city, you can actually ask ChatGPT for a local list of, bars and clubs. Another thing I've done is like for universities, it's like, where are universities in your city that have, over 10,000 people that have the best ratio of girls to guys, and it just does that. So I actually use my own prompts for when I travel. So like, for example, we're going to Montenegro soon. So I'm going to search for like, hey, what are the best universities in Montenegro that have over 10,000 people with the highest ratio of girls to guys, which is honestly one of the best tricks for day game as well. Cool. Bonus 10 is relationships and dating. I have a whole section on relationships and dating. I don't know if you guys know this. I've known about game. I've been teaching game, I've been gaming for over a decade now. Let's call it 10 years. But I've been in a relationship for 8 years of that time. So basically I have a lot of lessons that come into, having a relationship that's healthy, that has good communication. And I give you guys the exact strategies for how to communicate certain things. Let's say, for example, you want to, a girlfriend who's cool with you sleeping with other girls. I have a whole way that you can talk about that with her where she feels understood. She feels like her needs are understood, and you feel like your needs are understood. Um, and not in a confrontational, rude way, but in a way where it's healthy the way you discuss it. Next, we have an aesthetics and health section. So, uh, obviously, a big trend now was the black pill stuff. It's obviously not logical. It doesn't, agree with evolutionary biology or psychology or just personal experience. If you guys yourself go out and talk to girls, you'll quickly realize that a lot of that stuff isn't true. But it is important to maximize your aesthetics, which largely is your health. The most attractive bodies to women, like the most attractive male bodies to women, are those that are most healthy. So, uh, health and aesthetics play on each other, and you can make game more easy if you just optimize your aesthetics and your health, and you get a nice shirt like this. Actually, my immersion student gave me this. Shout out Rahul. Yeah, actually, he came out for a photo shoot, and I was like, dude, that shirt's fucking awesome. He's like, I went to 4 stores to find this shirt. I was like, God, dude, I want that. You can't even buy it online. He's like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, damn, that shirt's so fucking cool. And he's like, bro, do you want to have it? I was like, no way, dude. I'm not taking your shirt. And he just gave it to me. But okay. Bonus 12 is sexual education. So in this chapter, it's basically all about, dealing with erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, delayed ejaculation, performance anxiety, uh, how to stimulate a girl's mind. Uh, yeah, I also have my sex playlist in there. There's a lot of cool things. Bonus 13 is the resources. So I have this whole section of resources. It includes a game achievements checklist. Dude, I have to do a StreamYard next time because I wish I could just show you guys what I'm talking about. So think about like you guys ever play Xbox? So there's that thing, achievement unlocked. It would like flash on the screen. So I've created that exact thing for game. So in each phase of game, there are certain achievements that you should be checking off. So I have some students who fucking love this. They check off every time they accomplish one new thing, and then it's kind of like a fun thing to look forward to. So I'll actually pull it up in my Notion right now, so I can talk a little bit about it. So checklist. Boom. So yeah, achievements and game checklist. So yeah, let's go into desensitization stuff. So it's like first number close, first IG close, first approach with a direct opener, first date from game. Like there's all these like little wins that you can get so you understand that you're on a winning streak. It's so important in life that you have these small wins racking up, right? You have these like this snowball effect. So there's like it starts a little snowball, and then as it rolls down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So these wins are just compounding, and you realize that you're on a winning streak. And what is attractive to a woman? What is more attractive? A guy who believes he's on a winning streak because these small wins are racking up, or the guy who is complaining about his I don't know, complaining about his game or complaining about where he's at or complaining about lack of results or complaining about whatever. You know, you want to be around people that are positive, people that are winners, people that are in forward progression, people that are ambitious and going to a better place. Um, Bonus 14, I think, is one of the coolest ones. And it's something I've done with every single girl that I have dated. And it is the never date crazy girls again. Oh, actually, we have to add another one. I forgot this. Write this on your to-do list. Bonus 15 is the text game automation. So yeah, bonus 14, never date crazy girls again. Now, there's 2 ways to go about this. They're both valid. One is you learn about 150 red flags that a girl has, and you know how to spot them. Those are in the course, but that's kind of basic stuff, right? If a girl has a lot of tattoos, if a girl's smoking cigarettes, if a girl, talks a lot about her exes, if she's, shows signs of alcoholism or drug addict. Like all these red flags are there. There's countless, and a lot of them depend upon what you are personally looking for, right? Your red flags when you're looking for a girl that you want to marry and have kids with are going to be different than the red flags that you know. There's a really cool test that I give to every single girl that I'm thinking about dating, and it quickly tells me her background. So it quickly tells me things about her. It's kind of like an under the radar. It's a scientific test that's been used for decades, and it basically keeps toxic girls away from you for good. So you basically can get off like this broken roller coaster before it begins, and you don't have to deal with the headaches that come from dating shitty women. So cool. Yeah. So did you message me that? Can you message me that? Cool. Yeah. The other bonus that now I have to like redo my thing. So one of the bonuses is we've created, people are like, hey, you have to just learn all this texting stuff. Da, da, da. Well, I figured out one of the best ways to learn is you have like a format that you can use where about 50% of the messages, one third to half of the messages are essentially replaced by the system that I created. So we have a cheat sheet for text game, but not only that, you can import this cheat sheet into your phone. So that way you can just tap buttons to message. So think about this. You're texting a girl, she drops off. You ask her a question and she doesn't respond for like 12 hours. Well, what I would do is I just go to the re-engagement messages. So I tap this icon that's like a emoji for like the spinning thing, like re-engagement, kind of like an Uno reverse symbol. Hit that, and I go to questions. I hit questions, and then it'll come up with 3 different responses when a girl doesn't answer a question. And I just tap one of them. Don't think too hard, or what's another one? Take your time. I know it's a deep question. I think you forgot to press send. So basically all those are embedded in this, and I send you the file for it. So you just import it into your phone, and then you can tap those buttons when you get stuck. If you're like, oh, what do I use as an opener online? You just hit the opens thing and you tap and open. So all these little things where you get stuck trying to think about stuff, you can literally just tap buttons, which is really cool. And obviously it's not going to be like that forever, because the more you see how text game works, the more that you can like internalize it and use lines that are similar to the optimized lines. Okay, dude, this course is so good. I'm not going to get to talk about my fucking journey in game. I have. Okay, the next thing is these are for premium bonuses. So I have 2 tiers in this course. It's a standard tier, premium tier. The only difference is the premium tier gets access to the 6th phase of game, and it gets these cool bonuses. So lifetime calls with me. So there's monthly calls forever with premium members. That means 14 years from now, I'm having a monthly call, and you got out of a 13-year marriage. You can essentially jump on the call for free. So I'm going to be doing these calls forever. I've been doing these calls for about 5 years now, and it was mainly for immersion students and mentorship students. But now you get access to that forever, which means if you have a question that you want to ask me directly, like on a live call, kind of like this, you can hop on a monthly call and ask me directly. It's basically a Zoom call. As a sub bonus of that, there's going to be live practice with models. So I'm bringing on models onto the calls that you guys can talk to, ask questions to, practice eye contact, all this kind of stuff. Cool. Bonus 16, you get a more exclusive group chat. So I typically find the people who spend more money are more serious. So you get access to the more serious group chat. Bonus 17, model interviews. So I'm going to be doing monthly interviews where I ask signed models basically questions about sex, dating, relationships, how they meet guys. You may notice that a lot of girls that are models, they end up dating like other girls, or like they're just surrounded by like gay dudes in the industry. They're kind of like, it's kind of interesting how a lot of models they're not like getting as much action as you would think. Let's just put it that way. Cool. Bonus 18, it's the design your dream lifestyle thing. So basically these are guides on how to throw parties, have threesomes, create harems, utilize social media, utilize TikTok. And we're also diving deep into the real dating funnels behind top tier guys like Dan Bilzerian or Baddies Only. So you understand what their kind of hidden funnels are. And so we have a deep dive onto all the guys that you hear about. You're like, oh, what's his funnel like? You can actually understand what the funnel is like. Cool. What else? International dating hacks. So basically, I basically give you my top countries in order with the pros and cons of each, so you can kind of customize your trips internationally for your goals and your lifestyle. I don't know if you guys know this, but they're just as everything in the world is in flux. So there's like currency is in flux, different commodities, different resources, and dating markets are not the same universally around the world. So basically, you can take advantage of these differences in the global dating market simply by knowing the right places to go to. Next thing is monthly prizes. So you can compete in monthly challenges to win prizes. It could be one-on-one Zoom calls, $100 gift cards, etc. You get discounts on any future programs that you want to take. You basically put the cost of the course toward anything like an immersion or a mentorship. And then save the best for last. Bonus 22 is action taker adventure. So every quarter we fly out the biggest action taker to hang out with us and game with us in person. So the winners chosen from like the premium members who take the most action and share their progress in the group chat. So it's kind of a cool thing. Like every 3 months, I'm just going to pick someone who I notice is really going after it and fly them out, game with me in person. And I probably will film like some kind of video or vlog with it, but yeah. Okay. We got 50 people here live. I'm sorry that took so long. I didn't realize it was going to take that long. But yeah, there's a lot in the course. So I guess that's why it was long. So I'm going to go into my journey in game. How the fuck did that take 30 minutes? I'm sorry, guys. I was just literally reading parts of what's in the course. Okay. So I think my lithium orotate's kicking in. I'm like, okay. So yeah, let's go to my game transformation. All right. Cool. So gonna switch gears here. So I'm going to tell you guys a bit about how I started because a lot of people have questions about this, and it is my first podcast episode. I mentioned some of the stuff, but I want to go a little bit deeper here, so you guys can kind of understand where I'm coming from, what the journey was like for me. A lot of people think like, oh, Austen, he's always been like this. He's always been charismatic. He's always been funny. He's always been good with girls. And the truth could not be further from that. So I'm going to just kind of rant about this. I'm going to tell you guys about my journey in game. So basically, actually, I'm going to even bring up my memories. I have like a list where I write down just like different life memories. So yeah, so I grew up with my mom and my dad for first 3 years. I was, I don't know, I guess my extreme childhood or my infancy was good. One thing weird was that I got a lot of ear infections and stuff as a kid, and my parents took out meat and dairy out of my diet, and my symptoms resolved. But I think it's because back then people weren't aware of the quality of the food they were consuming. And I think the 1990s is probably like the peak worst food in the world. So, yeah, I had those issues, and I was essentially vegetarian / pescatarian from like 3 to 18. Anyway, so let's keep going. So yeah, I would consider my childhood after that a little bit shy and isolated. So I grew up in this isolated, gated community, and I remember thinking from a very early age, I was like, man, I wish I could just had like a friend to go do adventures with. I spent a lot of time like running around outside and going exploring. There were like foxes and stuff in the area, and I just go outside, look at ants, and I was a very outdoorsy young kid. My parents I definitely had a free range childhood. My parents just like let me run around and stuff. But yeah, I felt kind of shy. I felt isolated. Part of that is just the design of things in North America. There's like these sprawling suburbs where you don't have access to people, and it's kind of annoying. But um, yeah. So let me think past that. So my parents divorced when I was 3, so I was living with my mom, my stepdad. At one point, my stepdad went bankrupt, and we were living in like a mobile home in the middle of a forest and it was my grandparents' mobile home that we were staying in, and it was just like no money, just living in the middle of nowhere. Um, yeah, and then from there, I actually got to experience something kind of cool, which is that my stepdad was a very ambitious guy. He was one of the largest land developers in Central Florida. So I saw him dig himself out of poverty essentially from like he was working like a French fry cart that we'd go to stadiums on the weekend, and we would sell like French fries and drinks and stuff like that. And then I got to like tag along with a lot of this of his stuff. So I'd always just be in the car on the weekends. My weekend was sitting in a car with my stepdad, my mom, and my sister going out to tour land that would be developed and seeing various stages of like community developments. And then, yeah, so after that, my I hit like I'd say probably my rock bottom in life. And the thing that I think kind of spiraled me out of control or just kind of like led to a lot of depression was when I was 12. I was actually living in quite a nice place. So my stepdad worked us out of essentially camping all the way to living in a beautiful mansion and just an epic place, movie room. He had like 12 cars. He had, basically every material possession, every like, we even, one time he went out and he talked to these two Brazilian people that were working at this like pizza restaurant. And he just talked to them for 2 hours, and then he hired them to live at our house and work. So the one chick was like the house cleaner, housekeeper, and then the dude was like he would take care of the cars and stuff. So it was crazy. Like within 9 years, he went from like essentially bankruptcy all the way to like being insanely wealthy. So I've lived in every socioeconomic background that you could think of. Um, we'll get into it. So when I was 12, my mom she got diagnosed with cancer, and we tried everything in terms of like, there were like spiritual healers brought in. We had the best of medicine. She went to like some retreat in Mexico that claimed they could heal cancer with like plant-based nutrition. Um, and I had always been good at school. I think I got straight A's. To be honest, I've never been good with authority, and I've gotten in trouble for like standing on desks and stuff. But I'd always been, a good student, bright persons. I've always been in like, since even like the first or second grade, being in like advanced classes. Actually, before that, I think when I was in kindergarten, they were like putting me in classes with like second graders. So I've always been like intellectually smart, but that comes at a cost. Any of you guys here that are super, super high IQ, you know that above 120 IQ, every IQ point decreases your emotional intelligence in general. So yeah, I noticed that when I was 12, my mom started having those issues. I started to suffer. My grades started to suffer. So I started to uh, get more stressed, feel more anxious. I started going on more like just bike rides alone and just like not knowing what the future would bring, the anxiety of thinking about like, what does my life look like without my mom? I literally had to think about that. And I helped my mom until like the very last moment. I would literally bring her toothbrush into her bed and let her brush her teeth, and then like she spits it in like a, a cup basically, and I'd bring it into the other room and pour it out, and I'd help her walk around and stuff in my house. And yeah, one day I had my stepdad break through the door, and he said, guys, we need to go to the hospital right now. And my mom had been taken to the hospital, I think like 1 or 2 days before. And we get in this this Bentley blue train. It's like he had like car that was like only 30 in the world, and he's basically driving as fast as he can to the hospital, like literally 80 miles per hour through a residential area just to get to the hospital. And I get there, my mom's on a ventilator. She's basically like someone's holding her, like breathing alive, so we could say goodbye to her. And yeah, the nurse basically said like, hey, it's time to say goodbye to your mom. And I walked into the room, and yeah, I had to say goodbye to my mom, and she couldn't say anything back. And I just remember crying in the hallway after that. And yeah, just like weeping underneath a desk in the hallway of the hospital. And then we went to the mall after that and like went shopping, and it was kind of weird. We were all just like so stunned, so in shock that we were just like emotionally numbed, or like just like traumatized. I don't know how to put it, but there's something there. Also, I think I've been through exactly what the steps match for the phases of bereavement. Let me actually just see. What are the phases of bereavement? So bereavement is basically when you lose someone. Let me see. What are the stages of bereavement? Yeah, so all 5 stages of their stages of grief. First one is denial. So I think that's what I was in for essentially a year. I basically denied the fact that my mom died. So after my mom died, my stepdad essentially abandoned me, cut off contact with me. This is a guy I had looked up to for many years. He had really good work ethic, despite being a stepdad. And stepdads don't really have that much to. Their genes aren't in you. They don't care as much as if they're your regular kid. He was still a great guy. Like he would take me out. We'd toss a baseball around. We'd go out sometimes, go watch movies, and he's a cool guy. He essentially cut off contact with me, and then I left all of my friends, my whole life where I was building it, and moved to my dad's house. And my dad had essentially been a bachelor for 9 years, and we were just the weekend kids, and he loved us. He was awesome. But he wasn't used to having kids there all the time. So it wasn't really set up for us, but we got there. Yeah. And then, it wasn't necessarily the best environment. I'll just say that. I do love my dad. I love that he's super smart. He's interesting. He's very talented. He got me into music. But I just felt like at that time in my life, I needed someone who was there for me. And I felt like I didn't have anyone there for me. At the same time, my sister, she was older. So she always had like boyfriends that would, pick her up, and they'd go out and do adventures. She'd like stay the night at her boyfriend's house, and sometimes like the week, or sometimes she'd literally like live at her boyfriend's house. And then it was just like me with my dad, and my dad oftentimes would, go out, and like I would just be there alone. So it's essentially, I had one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. I denied it for a year, and then everything started to come flooding down on top of me. It was like I'm isolated in a gated community that's only basically old people around me. My sister's never there. My dad's almost never there. And it's just me in a house alone. So I think one of the things that happened is I just got really addicted to porn, and I kind of used it to cope. And on top of that, I didn't eat well. I didn't sleep well. I didn't brush my teeth. I'd go like a week without showering. I would, my dirty clothes would just pile up, and I would just, I got to a very, very, very deep depression. Everything was kind of dark around me, and I didn't essentially have the will to live. I would, the one thing that I think saved me at the time was that I was Christian at the time, and I thought, hey, if it means that I can see my mom again, then I shouldn't kill myself, because if I kill myself, I would essentially go to hell. And if I just kind of made it through this somehow, I would basically be able to see my mom again. So that's, I think, the only thing that stopped me from killing myself. The other thing is, I understood that, I was smart. I understood that this point of my life is a very crucial development part of my life. When you're 12 to 14, you are essentially like, you're forming who you are, your identity. You're basically creating an identity. And I knew that so many of the things that I was going through were affecting my development. I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't sleeping well. I was skipping school. I would literally, my dad would drop me off at school, and then I would just hop the fence and walk 8 miles home. Like every single day for sometimes weeks at a time, I would just hop the fence and walk 8 miles home. All the classes I was in, I either got A's or F's. Either I cared about the class and I tried because it was interesting for me, or I got F's. So I went from a straight A gifted student to basically a truant, like constantly skipping school. Yeah. And then on top of that, because my dad wasn't often there, my sister wasn't there, I had to figure out the food situation for myself. So I ended up stealing a lot. Like I had to steal food to eat a lot of the time. I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. I didn't feel like I had anyone there for me to rely on. I'd say, with the exception of being at church, was like Wednesday and Sunday. Uh, I didn't really have people to rely on. Um, Another thing I felt is that I used music to cope. So I guess kind of like Nietzsche, right? He says like, without music, life would be a mistake. Um, I spent a lot of time playing guitar. I spent basically from the time I got home from school to when I fell asleep, if I didn't have, other assignments or whatever, it would just be spent playing guitar, like all day, every day, essentially. Um, yeah. So that was a lot of my teenage years, was just that. And I kept trying to get out of my situation. I felt like the environment that I was in was not good. And on top of that, whenever I would fuck up, I would have someone telling me that I was fucking up. So I had my dad telling me every day, basically, that you're a piece of shit. Like, and I mean, from one perspective, I definitely was. I wasn't doing the things that needed to be done to become a great man. I was skipping school. I was sleeping in. I was, um, yeah. So am I still connected? Cool. So let's continue. So that's kind of like my low point in life. And all that stuff is, if you guys, I've taught over 1,000 people in person, and one of the common themes is that when people have no social like network that they can rely on, people have an absentee or abusive father, or people have like just abusive family relationships, they are disproportionately uh, representative in this niche. Um, cool. So yeah, that's basically a lot of my childhood, my adolescence. Um, One of the best things that happened was that I found a way out of my current environment, and you know what I felt like, if you guys ever read that book, what is that book? Basically, there's a part of the book where this guy, his name's George, he like holds this puppy too tight that he likes, and it accidentally kills the puppy. That's essentially how I felt living at my dad's house, basically. Um, and when I changed an environment, I found it was actually extremely helpful for me. So I got out of all those patterns and those thoughts, because your thoughts and your opinions, your beliefs, everything, they have an environmental cue to them. That's part of it. So I actually got out, yeah, of mice and men. There you go. I actually got out of that environment, and it was extremely helpful for me. So I got into my aunt and uncle's house, and they were very supportive. And funny enough, they were sneaking meat and dairy into my foods again. So I didn't feel like a lot of the downsides of being vegetarian I didn't experience, thankfully, but I definitely experienced some. And I think part of the reason I had growing pains growing up was the fact that I was vegetarian. And I probably would have been taller without that, but whatever. Um, cool. So I got in that environment. They helped me a bit, and then I moved to my grandpa and my grandma's house, and I'm gonna go visit them in about a month. But thank God for these people, man. If it wasn't for my grandma and grandpa, I don't know if I would be here, and my aunt and my uncle. My grandpa and my grandma are both very successful people. My grandpa sold his company when he was 40 years old, and my grandma was like an assistant for like the governor or something like this. So they're both very successful people. They had a beautiful, epic like house, and they put me to work. So when I wasn't doing schoolwork, I had to do housework. So I was, mopping the floors. And if you guys know anything about cleaning, the bigger the house is, the more work it is. And I had to clean uh, a gigantic house, like absolutely gigantic, and do lawn work and do random tasks and errands and this type of thing. So they kept me busy, and I honestly thank them so much for that, because that's one of the reasons I developed the work ethic that allowed me to start my first business, which allowed me to transition to other things. So I really, 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 really appreciate them. Now let's get into the game aspect of this. Obviously, this is just my background. I struggle a lot with depression. I struggle a lot with anxiety, but I think we all do to a certain extent. Um, so yeah, that's basically my world. And so these are the things that are kind of like setting the stage for me to learn game. Um, Now with girls, I had some girls, even when I was like 16, that were somewhat interested in me simply by the fact that we were part of the same church or community. Um, and I did have some friends that were girls at school that I would see when I went to my aunt and my uncle's house. So around 16, 17, I had girls that I was talking to, but they didn't see me in a sexual way. Um, and I even remember once I was at school, and I don't know what it was, but I proactively did things that made women not want to be with me. So there was one time I was working at the school store. I think it was like 15 or something. And I was, there's like fruit snacks and this type of stuff, like just a school snack store essentially that I was part of. And I remember this girl came in once and she was like, "Hey, she said something flirty about like the fruit snacks. And maybe she was like, maybe I could do something and get it for free or something. I don't know what the fuck she said. But I said something like, no, you have to pay, or just completely like rejected her, but from a place where I was just uncomfortable with it. And uh I'm just gonna like, let's see if I can just, okay. I was just wondering if I could hide the chat because sometimes I'm thinking about things and I see like Johnny says, "Bro, you're changing my life this summer." It's good to hear, man, but I'm trying to think. Let me think. You guys can message. You guys can message. I'll just keep my track of my story. But anyway, I said something to reject her from a place of me not feeling comfortable with it. And she said basically, or she just left. And then my coworker there was like, "Austen, you have no game." And he was like just disgusted in me. He was like, "How the fuck? Why would you do that?" So my experiences with girls were largely like that. Like I would proactively reject girls, and I think part of it was a Christian upbringing. Like I had a very kind of, I went to church twice a week. Everyone in my family was religious, and so I definitely had religious shame. Like I every time I jerked off, I felt like shame. Every time I like, I just thought like sex was bad and that you have to like wait until you're married to do it, and um, that was where my headspace was. And then I even saw people in my church like have sex, or I didn't see them have sex, but I knew that they had sex. And I was like, why are you guys going against the Bible? Like it's very clearly written what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. But anyway, um, yeah, I had girls like interested, and I was just always, I had no experience. I got anxious around sex, and I think also because of porn, it would just like made me like weird around the whole idea of it. So basically, my whole like, I don't know, adolescence to teenage years was just like that. It was like proactively rejecting girls. Um, partially probably from testosterone. Sorry, this comment just came up. I probably did have very low testosterone. Also porn, also lack of experience, also uncertainty. I'm also like, I feel like my brain is really suited for like risk management, and the risk, I just saw like it was just, I saw all the possible things that could go wrong. Um, and yeah, so I probably could have had sex, earlier on in my life, but what was going on inside just kind of, I don't know. I pushed girls away proactively. Um, and then, yeah. So fast forward um, to, yeah. So there was a summer between uh, high school and college. I went out mountain biking. So I went mountain biking, really cool path. And uh, I went with my neighbor and her and her family. She was like, honestly, she was like my best friend at that point. She lived right next door, and we always just hang out and goof around and stuff. It was fun. Um, so I went mountain biking with them, and then I kicked a rock when I was mountain biking. I didn't have the right shoes on for mountain biking, and I broke my toe. So I broke my metatarsal. So I literally had to pedal back with one foot all the way, and go right to the hospital. And her dad was so pissed. He was like, "Fuck! I finally have like vacation time, like with my family. We drove all the way out here. We went mountain biking, and now we have to go right back home. It's like stupid." So we had to go back. I went straight to like a medical place, and then I got surgery on my metatarsal to repair the damage. It's basically, think of this as your toe and this is your metatarsal. So I fucked up that. I have video for all of this, by the way. I'm going to make a shorter version of this eventually, and I just want to put in the videos so it helps illustrate. But yeah, basically I was sitting there, with a broken toe. I think I was screaming. I was in my grandparents' house, and the only way I take oxycodone, and the only way I could get over the pain was screaming. The only thing that took the pain down from like a 10 to like a 5 was screaming. So I was literally just screaming nonstop for like days to decrease the pain a bit. Anyway, I wasn't in college, so my grandparents were like, "Hey, go stay with your dad for a bit." So I went to my dad's, which actually his place was being renovated, so we were at like some hotel, and oh no, I was at his house. So I was just sitting there every day, like watching YouTube. Like I couldn't go play ultimate frisbee. I couldn't do anything fun. So I basically just, watched YouTube. And my sister knew about this, and her friend came in once. And she's like, "Oh, you're watching YouTube? Like, you should check out my boyfriend's channel." And I was like, "Okay, what's his name?" And she's like, "Vitaly." So his name was actually Vitaly Zdorovetsky, the Vitaly ZDTV, if you guys know anything about YouTube. And I watched his prank videos, and I was like, these are funny. And then I saw him basically I saw him do some pickup videos, and I was like, what is this? You could do this? You can just like walk up to a girl and talk to her? Like, this was mind blowing. And I was like, huh. And I shit you not, 24 hours straight going through every pickup video I could find. And then I found Simple Pickup, went through every single video they had. And then I went through all these other channels, and I felt, no joke, like I had discovered a key to the universe that was hidden from me. It was like discovering magic from the gods. I was like, I didn't even know that this was humanly possible. It never even occurred to me that you could walk up to someone that you don't know, talk to them, get their number. Even just that was mind blowing for me. So I'm basically sitting there. This was December 2012. I'm just sitting there in shock and awe of what I had seen. And then I found someone who I thought was just better than everyone. So this was back in the day. This was Vadim from Honest Signals, and he had only been uploading for like 4 months. But I noticed that like there was something different about his communication. He was better than the Simple Pickup guys. He wasn't as pranky or weird as the Vitaly guy, and he was like smooth. He had good verbal wit. He had the ability to like hold his ground. He had the ability to like, banter and talk and like do stuff that I couldn't do at the time. So I saw all this stuff, and I was like, holy shit, like this is awesome. But I still felt this hesitance. I felt this like anxiety. I felt this inability to do it myself. So as I was kind of healing from this injury, it just kind of stayed with me. And I was thinking like, could I use this? How could I use this? And I remember I got into someone who I thought had more formal game at the time too. Like, actually, beyond that, I was looking for other people, and this is back in the day where people were doing magic. Like, I would just search like how to pick up girls, and it would be like, you need to learn magic and hypnotism, and I'm like, so not only do I have to learn how to talk to girls, I have to learn magic and hypnotism. I was like, that sounds like more work. It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And thank God I was smart enough at the time to be like, that sounds like bullshit. So I found some people that had more formal game. I was following Vadim, I was following Paul Janka, and I was just listening to this in university from like a January. I skipped the fall semester because of my injury. So I was listening to this like December, January, February, March, just all this stuff constantly. Literally, I don't even know how many hours a day, but back in the day, I remember I was sitting in my dorm room. there was another guy in my room, and I would have a laptop next to my shitty dorm bed with a laptop open, headphones plugged into it, falling asleep every single night listening to game theory, like listening to how do you meet girls, how do you do this, how do you do this, like literally every single part of it. And I remember I'd go a walk on campus and think like, man, what if I talk to that girl? But I didn't start my journey. So there was 3 months where I was listening to game theory every single day and unable to approach. I didn't know the first step. I didn't know how to get started. So there was one phrase that changed everything for me. And it was, I was listening to a Paul Janka video, and in it, he says, listen, guys, if you've made it this far in the course and you haven't talked to a single girl, I want you to stop whatever you're doing. I want you to pull over your car. I want you to get out of your office. I want you to stop right now and go approach a girl, because nothing else matters if you can't do that. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, what kind of life do I want to live? Do I want to live a life where I'm stuck in, overanalysis, paralysis, anxiety, fear, self-doubt, telling myself I'm not good enough, living a life that's predictable, boring, just going through the rote memorization at university, only meeting girls that are part of my immediate social circle, of which was like non-existent. I had like one girl on my floor that I could talk to. Or do I want to be the guy who goes after what I want? Do I want to be the guy who goes into the unknown and does something a little different? And it immediately hit me there, because I had dealt with the idea of death before. Death and I had a battle before where I was considering about ending it all. And I decided to live. And now I'm deciding that not only do I want to live and to cope and to get through life slowly and safely, I want to thrive. I don't want to just cope. I want to thrive. So I want a life full of adventure. There's that quote that stuck in my mind too, which was, your life is either a daring adventure or nothing. So I had that quote, which was by that chick that whoever wants to write in the chat. She's blind, deaf, and like dumb or something. And then I also had the quote, if you have made it this far in a course and you haven't approached, you're not learning anything. Like, you need to go out and experience this. So I basically did my first approach. Yeah, Helen Keller. So I did my first approach. And I remember it to this day. It was raining outside. I did it anyway. It was this cute, like half black chick in the rain. She had an umbrella. And I had all these pickup lines written in my phone about like funny stuff that we could talk about. And at the time, Obama was president. So I said, hey, I asked Barack Obama if we could get together later. And he said, yes, we can. And that was like the slogan. And she literally went, haha, you're cute. And then I just panicked and ran away. And my heart was beating like this. I felt like I had done the most exciting thing that I've ever done in my life. It was more exciting than mountain biking. It was more exciting than travel. It was more exciting than anything I'd ever done before. And I felt like I had done something good. And I felt like this was almost like a drug. The next like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 girls I approached, every single one of them was like this. I remember their faces like, ugh. They were like scared. And looking back on it now, I know exactly what I did wrong, which was I probably approached from behind. I probably touched the girl, and I probably was too close. That's the mistake that 99% of people make in day game, and I did it. So I didn't stop there. I kept going. I kind of learned how to approach a little bit more comfortingly over time. And then I started having longer interactions. And I started noticing like, some girls are open to talk. you know, most of the girls I talked to were not, and that's fine. But a lot were just, hey, what's up? How's it going? And remember, this is back in the time where there was no real other way to meet people, and people weren't necessarily so brain destroyed from TikTok and all this kind of stuff. So uh, yeah, people were somewhat open. Some of them were open, right? And I started to work on this throughout college, and I met a guy who, when we would talk about game stuff, he'd be like, yo, keep it down, keep it down. He thought it was like a secret. He was like, dude, if people find out about this, we're going to have so much more competition. So he's like, keep it a secret. Like, I couldn't even talk about concepts out loud. He'd be like, bro, there's people. He's like, they're going to find out, and then we're not going to have this advantage. So this was like my first wingman. He was just a guy in my, I think it was in my same building. And yeah, we'd talk about game all the time. So he was like my new wingman. And he even threw a party once. And it was at like his friend's house or something. And yeah, I was starting to get the hang of, talking to people. Going to bars and nightclubs for me was still kind of an issue, because one of the things I've always had is, it's called HSP, highly sensitive person disorder or whatever. It's like, I think it's like 8 or 10% of the population has it. But when I would even go out with my dad to like this area of the city that had like loud bars and stuff. We'd listen to live music. We'd never go inside because I hated loud music. I was confused why people went to bars and clubs other than to listen to live music from a band. When I would go past a club and they're playing like shitty like EDM or something like this, I would literally be confused. Like, why would you subject yourself to that? Anyway, so yeah, I remember the first time I went to a club. It was on. I had moved to better logistics because I thought my logistics had to be better than. I was like 4 minutes away from the bars at my dorm, and I moved to where I was literally on the street of the bars and the clubs. Like, there was literally one beneath me. Like, I was 2 floors above the bar, and I would walk by the bars, and I would be too anxious to go in them. Eventually, I got up the courage to go inside, and basically within 5 minutes of talking to a girl in there, I left. I like couldn't deal with the environment of it. And beyond that, I have what a lot of my students have, which is like, when you're not used to being social or fun or flirty, these parts of your brain like deplete of neurotransmitters really quickly. So I would get like really tired. So I would talk to a girl for like 5 minutes and need to like go home and like isolate in my house. I'm also a lifetime introvert. I was thinking about this last night. I was just in my car with my dog, and I'm like, I really like just being completely alone or alone with my dog. So I'm a lifetime introvert. I also have the highly sensitive person thing. So it basically, and I also have the trauma and issues rejecting girls and all this kind of stuff. So basically, I have this like, and I was skinny. I had never really worked out much. I had this like a really bad starting point, right? I don't know if you guys look at me and you're like, wow, Austin's the most attractive person. I don't think I'm the most attractive person. I'd say realistically, like, I'm a 6.5, something like this. So as my starting point, low charisma, low game, low everything. The only thing I really had was the drive to get better. So I felt like this insatiable desire to learn this skill set. I felt very lucky and fortunate that I had found out about the material. I felt like I had discovered a secret of the universe. Number two, everything was new to me. And because of that, everything felt fresh and exciting along the journey. Every time I did something, it helped me, it made me feel like I was making forward progress. It made me feel like I had a reason to do self development. So I got into YouTube back then was uh, it was large. It was a way more productive place to be on. It's kind of interesting. There was a lot more just like here's how to do things. Like gym channels were talking about here's the how to. Now old gym content is like lifestyle and stuff. So gym content back in the day was like helpful content, interesting stuff. People doing their workouts and explaining why they're doing things. The pickup content was like here's how game works. Here's how something you can implement. Um, and then people would talk about meditation and cold showers, and I started doing this auxiliary self-development stuff. I started meditating. I tried out for the ultimate frisbee team and made it. I started putting myself in more social situations, and I felt like I had started getting some progress, like things are going well. And at a certain point, I got really deep into self development, and I realized that I don't think that staying at this college, doing this career, is the best possible thing that I could be doing with my life. And at the time, there's a whole thing about like how college is kind of pointless unless you're doing like, 4 or 5 different careers, engineering, doctor, lawyer, this type of stuff. So I was like, I don't want to do any of that. I want to do, I don't know. I don't remember what I actually wanted to do, but I wanted to focus on game. I think that's literally what I wanted to do. So I decided to stop going to university. And this is also coincided with I was working for this company where I was a painting business sub owner type of thing. So I would go out and I would, funny enough, using the stuff I learned from game, I broke their sales record. There, I actually found a picture of it recently because I'm making a video on this. But uh, there was like 8 or 9 of us, and we got like 30 sales leads in a day, just like knocking on doors. And I got like 20 of the leads or something like that. So I felt like, okay, this game stuff is applicable to business. So over that summer, I ran a painting business, and I made about $80,000 doing a painting business. And then after that, I was like, what's the point of staying in university when business is more fun? I have money that I can use to travel. And all I want to do is focus on game. I was like fucking, what, 20 years old or something? Was that 20? Yeah. And then during that summer, I was doing the painting business. I was also gaming on the side. So I'd run the painting business, and then like I'd always be out doing stuff, checking on job sites and etc. And I stopped into a cafe. I talked to this girl, and I, I talked to her, and I got her number, and she was at my school. She kind of like knew about me. I knew about her vaguely, but we never talked ever. And like, I'd only seen her like once or twice or something. So, I just used stuff that I read online for text game, and I got her out on a date. We really enjoyed each other, and we started dating. And funny enough, she was a virgin, I was a virgin, and like when we tried to have sex, her pussy was so tight that I couldn't even fuck her. So, yeah, it was a problem. Anyway, then there were some other girls. I ended up like losing my virginity with this girl that I had a crush on in high school, and just using stuff that I had been learning in game for like the previous 4 or 5 months. So I lost my virginity like 5 months or so about after I started game, and then I guess it'd be like 7 months after I or 8 months after I discovered game. So, yeah, I felt like this is the coolest thing ever. Like I found all those small wins, all those approaches, all those, socializing, all that, getting out of my comfort zone, doing sales. I felt like all that stuff was helping me talk to girls better. And it ultimately resulted in me getting laid. And then, yeah. So I lost my virginity. Then as part of this, like the painting thing, there was also like this thing was like somewhat connected to or something. And it was like a self-development thing, another kind of sales thing. So in that, I met this other girl, and within 24 hours, I had slept with this girl. So it's basically like I met her, we talked a bit on the bus down to this like sales event that was like 300 miles away. And then we had like a training during the day, and then I was focused on leading. So when we had a group of people, I was the one leading. Whereas usually in my adolescence, I'd always let everyone else create the plans. I was just the follower, the tag along guy. So I never did anything proactively or led anyone anywhere. So I started working on leading, and then at that thing, I like led a whole group to the park, which was cool. And then I like led her somewhere else, and then we made plans for that night to hang out. And we went out, did something. I think we walked around the city, and then I brought her back to my hotel, and we had sex. And I was like, it just blew my mind that I had met a cute girl, and then within 24 hours, I had sex with her. And this was a cool girl. Like, so I started dating her at university, and then that's when I had that revelation. I was like, I don't want to stay here. I don't see the future of my life getting some office job. I don't see the future of my life, just dealing with social circle stuff. I want to grow. I want to expand. I am on this path where it's like, the brain and lane concept is like my brain found the lane. So now it just executes. There's no contact switching. There's no trying to discover. There's no like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. No, I'm like full, like this is the path, I'm taking it. So I made a really, really clear decision. Yeah. So from that point, I decided, what would be fucking awesome? What if I traveled to Europe? I had made some money over the summer. What if I just did a free solo backpacking trip? And I try to save as much as humanly possible on the trip as well. So I got on this thing called couch surfing, and I had no references on it. And funny enough, the next few girls that I banged before leaving for the trip, I met on Omegle, which is like this online thing where you just have like chat with random people. So one of them, actually, she lived like an hour away from where my dad's parents lived. So I convinced them, hey, let's do a family trip to, this area to visit, our grandparents. And then we visited, and then I set up a meetup with that girl, and yeah, it was awesome. So I was like my next lay. And then I had another girl in New York that I met up with from Omegle. And we think. Yeah, so I let her stay with me, or I stayed with her or something. And then I got my first reference of the couch surfing, which is awesome. Like made her get the account to give me a reference on couch surfing. Couch surfing is, by the way, you can stay with people for free. This is all over the world. You basically, they want cool people to stay with them. And yeah. So I was like, in order to like save money on this trip, like I should just use couch surfing. And couch surfing was like one of the best things I ever did, because it's kind of interesting how your personality oftentimes develops in proportion to how much you need to use it. Think about this. Who has a better personality? Someone who has a pussy coordinator that goes on Instagram and gets some girls and brings them to them, or the guy that's doing cold approach pickup? Obviously the guy with cold approach pickup, because he needs a personality there to make himself a human being that the girl like can relate to. Same thing with sales, the same thing with marketing, the same, you have to generate charisma and give value in order for it to work. Same thing with couch surfing. I'm not paying to stay anywhere with money. So I used giving the person a great experience as the way to stay with them. So from there, I also in New York, I stayed with another girl like the last night or something. I think my flight got delayed or something. And I wanted to fuck this girl so bad. I met her straight from couch surfing emergency in New York City. It's like a 24-hour stay group or something. Beautiful Brazilian girl. I think she may be married or something now. We talked a bit, but afterward, but we never ended up hooking up. But I basically had her in my bed, or I was in her bed talking. She had like a t-shirt on covering like her epic tits. She was so hot. And I was like, I didn't make the move because I was like, this could risk me getting a bad review on couch surfing, which would, jeopardize my whole trip. I don't want to like blow money unnecessarily. So I used couch surfing. I went throughout Europe, and every single day I would either be going out, meeting up with someone from a pickup group, and working on my game. And I was still in the desensitization phase at this point, or maybe I'd say vibe. So being around guys that were like blatantly sexual and blatantly like hitting on girls was really eye-opening for me, and it helped me. Like I learned different lessons from just being around them. Funny enough, a guy that I'm still friends with to this day, I met on that trip. We'll call him Dave. But yeah, we met in Amsterdam, and I was like, hey man, what's up? Yeah, let's go out. Da-da-da. We went out. Within 5 minutes, he was in an interaction and he was pulling the girl. And I was like, Dave's gone. And yeah. And basically that's all I saw of him on that time. And then after, no, not David one. And then I met him in Miami. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I met him like 3 different places independently in the world. Actually 4. Where we just bumped into each other. And it was so crazy. But I also met this other guy who had really solid game. And he was kind of like, I'd say in a way, like my first mentor in terms of like in-person coaching. Just go out with him and he'd actually help me. He would push me into doing interactions and stuff. And it was super useful. And I also saw like what with good game, what you can get away with in nightclubs. Like we were in Rembrandtplein in Amsterdam, and I saw like we went out to some of these bars. I think Coco's was the name of one or something. And I just went up and like just like being around him and observing him, I like picked up so many different epiphanies. No, actually, his name is Sandro. His name's Sandro. He's from Slovenia. He'd say this to every girl. He's like, "Hey, I'm from Slovenia. Small country, big penises," and every girl would laugh. So it's kind of funny. You have like those little anecdotes from where you're from, the job you do, etc. That just works. But yeah, being around Sandro actually was really helpful as well. If you're listening, what's up, bro? I think he follows me on social media. Yeah, and he's still killing it to this day. It's also interesting how everyone that I met in game is now extremely successful. And that's one point I do want to communicate to everyone is that game isn't just about game. Okay? Game, in my opinion, is obviously it's primarily about getting the girls you want and having the dating and relationship life that you want. But beyond that, it's relationships outside of romance. It's relationships about, with your family, with your friends, even with animals. It may sound weird, but some people have a weird vibe that animals like dogs can detect. People have a nice, calming, present energy. Dogs gravitate toward. Kind of off topic here. But yeah, game is also about developing yourself, and part of developing yourself is developing your career and your ability to help people and provide value in this life that we have, right? So I was starting to get a lot of these different epiphanies. So I was Amsterdam. What else? I have photos from back then. This video is going to take me so long to put together, but it's going to be epic. So one of the benefits, if you guys are new at game, it's you have a benefit of inexperience. And inexperience is like it's a double-edged sword. But one of the things is you just go into every interaction thinking like, hey, this could probably work, right? And you go into every interaction not knowing like, red flags about girls. You're just like, oh, this is a girl. So what if she has like a Satan tattoo on her chest and she's smoking a cigarette? She's just a girl. Um, you also just throw yourself into random situations that are like could potentially be bad or awkward. You just kind of make it work just by throwing yourself in. You'd be surprised by how good you can, how many cool experiences you can pull out of that. You just have like this naivete and this like positive vibe when you're learning game. Cool. So one of the coolest things that I did during this trip was I met a girl who I met her at a hostel kitchen in Germany. Actually, I'll give you two cool anecdotes. So I was in Germany. What city? I was in Cologne, Germany, and I met this beautiful Russian coder at the kitchen just working. And we chatted, we kind of hit it off. And, within like an hour or something, she saw me like where I was planning to go. And I was talking about, I'm going to Switzerland. So cool. We can do this. I heard, look at the place I'm staying. It's so cool. And she's like, that's kind of cool. Do you mind if I like come with you? And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And we just chatted about it, slept, woke up, and then we headed out for the bus. And on the bus, we just slept like next to each other basically the whole time. And then we got off and there was like a stop on the way. I think the city name was, man, I don't remember. It was like this beautiful small German city on the way to Zurich. It's funny. I could probably find it right now, but we just explored the town. I was practicing leading, so I was leading her everywhere. We went up, saw like an old cathedral. We went to like a farmer's market in the town, and yeah, it was a good experience. And then basically we had sex later that day in Switzerland. So we got into Switzerland. Let's see if I can find the name of this. Oh, it's called Freiburg. Yeah, it's in the south of Germany. Freiburg im Brossauge or something. So we stopped there to change buses or refuel or something. And yeah, so basically my life for an entire week in Switzerland was staying at a luxury condo with a chick that always left, like the owner would always leave during the day. I would wake up at like 2 p.m. My girl would code, do all her work in the morning, and then she'd wake me up at 2 p.m. We'd have sex. Then we'd go explore the beauty of Switzerland, get a beautiful sunset and whatever. And then come home. Our host would cook us a meal, and then we'd have sex again and go to sleep. And like that was my life, which is like waking up, get fucked in a good way, explore, have food cooked for me, and then like sleep. It was awesome. Cool. Then after that, we split off our different ways. We went to Italy, and then we just like split off. And in Italy, in Milan, the other really cool thing happened during that trip, which was that I went out and I got lost in the subway, and I met these two guys. I'm like, are you guys going out? You look like you're dressed up to go out. And they're like, yeah, we're going out. We're meeting this chick from this like housing, this like what's it called when people in Europe do this program in college?
Erasmus.
Yeah, they were on Erasmus or something. So like we met her at this Erasmus group, and I was like, cool, I'll just tag along. So we met at the Il Duomo di Milano, that like famous, beautiful building in Milan. And then we all walked to the club, and the other two guys, like I could tell they just didn't understand game. And so like when we were all together, I just went full savage mode and just fucking stole the girl from them, dude. I was like dancing with her, spinning. The guys were still there, spinning her stuff. Like at some point I made out with her, and the guys just got so shoved in their head. And then I basically took her by her hand, led her upstairs to another dance floor. And then I guess I this is another inexperienced thing. I didn't know that Brazilians just like make out with everyone. Basically, like that's how they like. If you talk to a Brazilian girl within 5 minutes, you're making out a lot of the time. So basically, she was just like grinding on me. This girl is, oh my god. At this point in my life, this was the hottest girl that I had like interacted with in my real life. She was like grinding on me, dude. The most epic ass. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I need an epic ass. Okay. I need an ass I see God in. And this girl had like just honestly, maybe to this day, probably top 5 ass I've ever seen. She was grinding on me. We were making out, and then I didn't even have a place I was staying. So I was like, man, I should probably just pull this girl so that I don't have to get a place to stay. So I asked what she had at her place, and then I was talking about like, oh, do you have any food? Do you have any snacks? I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, do you mind if I get some of that? Da da da. Oh, have you seen this show or whatever? Oh, we'll have to play it at your place. Just seeding things for her place, and it was one of these experiences. I don't know if you guys have had this, but it's like there were gaps in my knowledge from experience. Like I had no experience. Let's say I had very limited experience, like seeding or pulling, and there's certain things that happen. I was like especially like I've never taken a girl away from guys before, and I had all these like little gaps. But there was like these little invisible bridges between these 2 points, and those bridges were made up of content that I had heard. So it was like theory that I'd listened to but wasn't applicable to me yet. And I heard about it, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should try that. And it was literally like a whisper. Have you had this experience where it's like a whisper in your ear at the right exact point when you're supposed to do it, just based on something that you've learned. So I was like, man, seed to her place, boom. So I grabbed her hand, led her to her place. I had the Google Maps preloaded and went to her place. And yeah, I actually didn't have sex with her that night, but my aunt gave me some like weird gift card thing for hotels or something, part of her work. And then I got a hotel thinking like, okay, so next time I meet up with her, I'll just bring her to my place. So I don't remember what we did on the date, but I brought her back to my place, and dear Lord, God has blessed me with her ass. It was like literally just looking at it, I was like, this is the best. This is the most stimulating experience of my entire life, like bar none. She's epic. I still talk to her to this day. Cool. So those are 2 of the biggest things. I met another girl who I had seen like maybe 3 times. Like after I went to Europe for like another world tour or something, I saw her, and it was just so interesting meeting these girls, having these experiences, having girls shit test you. I remember once I fucked this girl in a hostel kitchen, or no, I fucked her in the hostel bed, and there were people sleeping on the bed above her, and like other people in the same room. And yeah, like I just had so many of these crazy experiences. Like an Italian girl I met in Italy from a different city. She was literally like, I was just like very physical with her. And she was like, you got to come to my city and like, let me show you around. Let's go. We'll leave after this. And, I had so many of these experiences of like, wow, girls actually like me and they want to be sexual with me. And then I can lead things forward. And And yeah, so from there, I went back to my college town. I got all of my stuff packed up. I said goodbye to my. I was there for like a week. That girl had been dating in that college town. I just banged her for like a week more, and then I actually had the first time I had raw sex was with her. It was like the last day, like we were saying goodbye to each other. I don't know why. I was just like, I want to fuck you raw, and she was like, do it. So I did it. Don't recommend it. And then I got all my stuff packed up and drove to Florida, and didn't really have a plan, but I went to some self-development events and some pickups in-person events. And there was one really big in-person pickup event that was happening in Miami. And I went to it, and a lot of the instructors that I had been listening to were there. And also, funny enough, in the crowd was not only Cupid Schmoopid, that short pickup guy. I don't know if he's a midget or not, but I think he was 5 feet tall or something. Really insane game. Ended up getting a hot girlfriend. But also Vadim from Honest Signals was there. And when I first saw him, my brain was like short circuiting because I was so excited to meet him that I was like, "Hey, dude, if you ever need like help, I will come help you with anything that you need, and I'll drive you around and blah 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 blah." I basically just offered to assist for free, and he was like, "Sounds good, man. Like, yeah, just give me your number." And during that time, I had this is like one of my focuses at that time. I was like, by the way, I called him Vitali when I met him. I was like Vitali because my brain was short circuiting. But I had been systematically trying to fuck every girl that I had a crush on in high school. So this other girl, she was like, "Why didn't you tell me that you're into me?" And like da 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 da, and like, you know, and I had at this point, good game, worked on some of my issues in life, improved my communication, and now I I was just like every girl that I had a crush on, I was just like, I need to fuck this girl. So I hit up a lot of the girls from, back then we used Facebook. So some of the girls that I went to high school with on Facebook, and one of them she was actually pretty wealthy, or not wealthy, but from my perspective, she would like treat me and stuff. She's kind of like my sugar mama. And we hung out, had crazy sex. This girl was like so good. This is like, I do recommend that when you're learning game, it is good to have like a fuck buddy that you can just practice all the sexual stuff with, so that you can work on your issues with, if you have boner problems, or you can work on trying new kinks out. You can work on, being more dominant. You can work on, so you get like a nice basis of knowing how to fuck. And this girl was it. She was like, literally anything you want to do, we'll try, and try all the stuff with me too. And I just got so outside of my comfort zone with that, because when I had been growing up, I thought like, oh, women are these like beautiful, feminine, weak princesses that we need to protect. And I thought sex was just like, you have to be really romantic. So over the course of like my first 2 years of game, I realized that like women basically wanted me to be very rough with them. So, you'll have girls ask you to like slap them and choke them and spank them and pull their hair and like toss them around in the bed and like hold their arms and stuff. You're like, what the fuck? Like, I thought this is not what Disney prepared me for. So yeah. So I practiced a lot of that with her, and she was honestly an awesome, cool girl. Later, after dating me, she moved in with a drug dealer who had like 3 girls living with him. And then after that, she became a porn star. And yeah, but I think now she's just like a vet or something. Cool. So talking to her, and then I convinced her and two of her friends to come to that pickup event with me. So I was basically at the pickup event with like 3 girls, and I just felt like the biggest pimp ever. It's like most of the guys there are like, not bringing anyone, and then here I am rolling through with 3 girls. And now, in retrospect, I realize that's a little bit try hard, and it's a little bit like look at me and trying to status signal a little bit too much. Like, who gives a fuck? Um, at the end of the day, it's like your life. No one really cares about it that much. So just do what you want to do, essentially. But yeah, I had 3 girls with me, and oh man, I have a text from this. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But it was like, let me see, Pocahontas, Yeah, here I have it. Okay. Yeah, so me messaging it's actually RSD Alex back in the day. I was messaging him. A girl I texted, "Get home safe, Miss Airport." Then Pocahontas, she texted me, "I love you, bye." Nina says, "Did I ever tell you the nuns used to spank me at Catholic school?" And then my girlfriend at the time saying, "I want to fuck you in the bathroom." And then one of the wingmen I met during this, and then like my old mentor from college, who was like a guy who was kind of taking me under his wing a bit. And it was like, also during this, I met RSD Tyler, and I was like, yeah, my girlfriend and I, we want to learn how to have threesomes. So my girlfriend at the time was super adventurous, super like love trying things. And so he was like, bro, take my girlfriend's number and come meet us out tonight. So we went to this bar. It used to be really good. It's called Nikki Beach in Miami. And so my girlfriend and I were, obviously talking to girls, approaching girls, kissing them. And it was kind of funny. Like, we ended up setting up right next to where Tyler and his girlfriend were. So Tyler and his girlfriend would pull in a girl, make out with her, and then like we would make out with that girl, and then we'd have like pass girls to them. And it was just like this weird kind of like thing where I was just like threesome gaming with my girl while Tyler was also threesome gaming with his girl. And then I'll show this image to Carl. I definitely can't show that on YouTube, but it was 3 naked women. So yeah, I had a crazy like I think it was a weekend. There was like a 4-day experience, and it was literally at that point I was just like, I am all in. I'm just all in. So so yeah, Johnny says, so at this point, would you say you figured out all there was to game, or was there something missing? There was definitely something missing. And funny enough, this is, I think, well, let me see the date on this message is, I'm pretty sure this was 2015, 2014. No, it was 2014. It was 2014. So I had been doing game for basically a year and like 8 months, just fucking full out. And then, and keep in mind, I'll play videos for this in the future, but if you guys ever watch the voice video, or if you guys ever seen like clips of me in Miami, like way back in the day, it's like when I had Squeaky, it was before she did porn. My voice was Squeaky, and that was then. So it almost goes to show, like, just with, I mean, this is what the actual scientific research shows. It shows that the people that have the most sex, they're not the most, it's not like the most attractive guy is having all the sex. It's not the most rich guy that's having all the sex. It turns out the people that have the most sex are the people that proactively want to have the most sex. They're like just horny people that are going after it. And if you look at even me, points in my life when I'm focused completely on business, there could be 3 months that goes by, I'm just fucking one girl and I don't care about fucking any other girl. Whereas when I actually am gun to the head dedicated to it and I'm like obsessed with it, I could fuck 8 girls in a week. Like, I've done that multiple times throughout my journey. So I hadn't figured out everything there was to game. I had a lot of tweaks that need to be done. So this is when I would say that I was in the sexualization phase, where I was able to sexualize interactions, but I wasn't necessarily very good at the strategy phase, which is like, how do you seed, lead, pull consistently? So from there, I met my mentor at that same conference. That literally that weekend was like one of the crazy. I'd say it's probably I don't know, that probably is the craziest weekend of my life. Like, I'm meeting all these people that I had looked up to, like my literal idols, and having, doing stuff like I just showed Carl on. It was just nuts, these experiences that I was having. So from there, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm all in. And then I started assisting Vadim. So basically, I drive my car down to Miami to game, even when he wasn't available. And like, keep in mind, I was living about an hour and a half away from Miami, right? So I had to drive a long way, and sometimes I'd have to convince my girlfriend to drive. Wait, why did I convince her to drive? I don't know why, but anyway, we'd go down and yeah, I'd go down to Miami and just game. Um, yeah, and then I would also help him film videos. And one of the videos he helped film was the if you look up picking up girls at Ultra Music Festival, I think. I paid $500 for my ticket to go there so I could just film them, and I got like the best possible footage. At the end, I did the clutchest thing ever, which is like they were pulling, and the camera had like 2% battery left. So then I was getting like the ideal parts of the pull, like when they're going through the exiting with them, walking down the street, and then I conserved the last 1% of battery for like when they walked in the parking lot, entered the car, and then I like shut off the camera in like cool spot, and then they like drove away, and I got the shot of them driving away. And right as they drove away, the camera died, and I was like, my job here is done. So after that, he was like, bro, I need to get this guy with me. So he's like, bro, come back to Canada. So we went to Canada, and I continued working for him. And like, I remember even the first day I was in Canada. Let me see if I can find the photo. The first day I was in Canada, I like day gamed and like met a really cute girl. She's like this ginger hair girl. Oh, this is Carla. Man, I fucking hate that I can't share screen, but it's kind of good because some of these stuff on here. So boom, that's my girlfriend from the first girlfriend, basically. This is my the one that became a porn star. And then this is Vadim and I going out. I don't know who this is. This is me gaming in Miami. So what was I just talking about? Yeah, so I was filming. I went up to Canada, met some girls. Cool. And then in Canada, I just took game to like, I kind of got over my cringe phase of game, basically. So I was getting success, but keep in mind, it was messy, right? If I wasn't persistent, if I wasn't like, I don't think I would have. It wouldn't have been a good place to stop, basically, for me. So let me see if I have more written here. Boppity beep bop boop. Yeah. So with Vadim, basically, I worked my way up from basically being an assistant to I was like an assistant coach. I would help on all the programs, the boot camps that we did. It was kind of cool because it wasn't like I came into a established business. It was like I was part of creating this business. And back in the day, there wasn't like a really good model to follow. There wasn't like, it wasn't like today. It's like, just do this, 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 and this. This is how, it's not like Alex Hormozy's giving away all the business secrets. Like we had to figure stuff out. We had to understand how to do infield filming. Like we literally figured out how to do infield filming. How do you get cameras into places? How do you disguise cameras? How do you what does the whole process like that look like? What do you do if like security looks at you? Like we had to literally create like this whole system. It took like years. That's why some of my friends that are they're like dating coaches too. They're like, bro, can you tell us how to like film infield? I'm just like, dude, the amount of blood, sweat, tears, anxiety, pain, trauma that it took me to learn how to do infield filming. It's like, dude, people always want the handout. Anyway, so we figured all that together, and I was working my game there. And yeah, and then I got a girlfriend there who I think it was like my longest relationship. So I dated her until 2017. So basically 3-year relationship. And all these girls that I was dating, it's always like these little moments where I can make something happen or I don't. Like if I look back on all the girls I dated, it was basically just a decision that I made in the moment to basically get that girl. So the girl I met, I was coming back with. Wait, maybe I'm mixing up the timeline. Yeah, this was later. Okay, so 2014, just working on my game there. Then we went to Los Angeles, I believe. Yes, we went to LA, and I worked on my game there. And then that's when I met my number one wingman of all time. His name's Kevin. He started helping us with filming, and then we were just like, dude, this guy's so cool. Let's just be friends with him. So he would just come and game with us all the time with filming. And then we were just like, dude, this guy's so cool. Let's just be friends with him. So he would just come and game with us all the time. And go out to, the bungalow. We go out to W Hotel Rooftop. We go out to Good Times at Davy Wayne's. And this is when I was really focused on pulling. So every single night that we were going out, Kevin and I would just try to pull. Like we'd just go out, try to pull. And what we ended up doing was getting so good at pulling that we didn't really even screen that well for the girls. So basically we would just pull every single night. If you guys, does anyone here follow me back from when I was on Snapchat posting polls all the time? Because I remember some people would be like, they'd talk in Facebook groups. They'd be like, bro, listen, nobody pulls every night. You just gotta accept the nights that you don't pull. And I was like, I pull every single night. Here's my Snapchat. Follow me. And then we just went on a rampage. I think there was like several months where we pulled every single night. We're doing like a 60-day challenge or something back in the day. Yeah. So we had crazy experiences, and like we toss each other girls. Like if I bang a girl, I give it to Kevin. He'd bang a girl, he'd give it to me. Also, nights that I didn't want to go out, he would literally just show up at my house. So I'd say like, hey man, like I'm feeling a little bit out of it. I just worked like 12 hours. I don't know if I'm going to go out today. He'd be like, listen, dude, can I curse? I don't know. Listen, faggot, I'm coming to your house. So he'd come to my house, kick in the door, drag me out of bed and be like, yo, get dressed. And I'm like, oh, okay. I just get dressed. He's like, think about what you want in this life. He would just like motivational talk me. And then he'd put on some deodorant and we'd head out. And yeah, he would literally drag me out when I didn't even want to go out. So I got experience just by being around that. On top of that, nights where after like the challenge we did, nights where let's say Vadim would go out, he'd often pull bigger groups. So he'd be like, oh man, I got 2 or 3 girls come back with me. I need you to wing. Sometimes I get a call like, hey, Austen, wake up. I need you to wing. And then I just wake up, wing a girl and fuck her. And then vice versa, right? There's some nights I go out and they wouldn't go out, and then I'd bring girls back and I need them to wing. So if you guys ever saw like the end of my, my pickup compilation video, the pickup motivation video, the end of it, there's like 4 girls like showing their asses to us like at our house. Like that's an example of like a night going out with Kevin. So yeah, after that we're like, dude, Kevin, you should come to Toronto with us. And then we all moved to Toronto. And then that's when I went out with him one night. We were coming back. We saw a spot, saw this girl, went out and approached her. And that girl became my girlfriend from like a 5-minute approach. I literally have the video of the night when I met her. Cool thing I did was I filmed everything. So I think a really big thing was actually, who actually inspired this was David Bond back in the day. He used to have like really cool videos he posted on Facebook groups with a GoPro on his head, and I was like, I want to start doing this. So I got GoPro footage of like, on my head, on my chest, like just always like filming myself with girls. And I'd film dates with them. A lot of these are going to be in the course. I have like Carl's actually editing a date vlog right now. But I film dates. I'd film meeting girls. I'd film like when I didn't have my GoPro, I'd do Snapchat or videos. And like I have videos going all the way back to like 2013 when I was in Europe. So that's one cool thing about the course actually is that I have, you get to see like, 2012 to like 2023, like everything that happened along the way, chronological. Yeah, if you guys are listening, you haven't joined the VIP list, get on the VIP list. I'm going to send you some free infields that are not going to be anywhere else that you get access to there. It's not going to be on YouTube. Yeah, anyway, so what was I talking about? Yeah, pulling with Kevin, meeting girls, that girlfriend. Yeah, everything's documented. And then later on, I ended up meeting this girl out. By the way, I established every girl that I had been with to that point, I said, listen, I'm not going to be monogamous with you. I am focused on developing myself in this area. I'm focused on learning game, learning the skill set. I need it for not only myself, but I need it to help other people. And I just told him that. And then this girl was actually cool with it, right? We just had a don't ask, don't tell rule. So, yeah, so I was able to continue to meet girls. And then eventually I got a second girlfriend that I met out with Mo Abbasi one night. Fucking Christ, I wish that infield was filmed. That would have been one of my best infields. But basically, I saw this girl. She was with her friend talking, and I walked up and I said, hey, sorry to interrupt the stimulating conversation. I just had to come hit on you. What's your name? And they both broke out in laughter. And I'm like, why are you laughing? They said, we were just talking about if we had another guy rudely interrupt us that we were going to leave. And you actually didn't interrupt us rudely like every other guy. So we ended up talking. She's qualifying herself. She says she's a model. And I'm like, oh, you're like a hand model, whatever. And she's like, no, I do fashion. I like, look at me. This is me modeling a wedding dress. And so there's like an actual published model that actually another one too, during that same time period, she got a shoot from Maxim. So it's like I was dating this model chick and this other girl that I really, really liked. And it sounds really cool. I actually have a date vlog with her in the course, the model chick. But it sounds really cool. But January 1st is New Year's, and everyone wants the New Year's kiss with their significant other. So leading up to that, it was like very stressful. And like I would call one girlfriend and then I'd say, all right, good night. And then I called the other one. And then one girl, this is also, it's so interesting how girls can kind of feel the competition, because it's one of the only points in my life where I had been woken up by two girls back to back with like blowjobs. So, my girlfriend slept over and she woke me up in the morning by sucking my dick. And then the next day, the other girl slept over and then woke me up by sucking my dick. So it was like, there was like competition. It was weird. And then, New Year's, I basically chose the non-model girlfriend to spend time with. And the other girl got, very sad from that. And then just it fizzled out. So I was starting to learn more about relationship dynamics and like how to treat girls and like, how to structure things. And having two girlfriends is not worth it. I would either have them in like a harem situation where they all know about each other, or the other thing I do like is having one primary girlfriend and then other girls are just like, casuals that you see occasionally. Yeah. But from there, I felt like I had reached the strategy phase of game. Like I knew all about the pulling, and I was having relationships, and I had like one night stands, and I was coaching, and I understood it. And then in 2016 to 2017, I feel like that's when I got into the naturalization phase of game. And that's when you see infields of me, like with the Swedish girl, Dude, I just love fucking your women, Carl.
You're welcome.
And you can look at it and you're like, this is just, it feels so natural and it looks so easy. Why is that? And it's because I just put in the reps, right? So there's some rep stuff, and there's also some mindset and belief things that occur between the shifts from strategy phase 4 to naturalization phase 5. And yeah, so then we stayed in Toronto, and this is when you see some of my older videos, like the Swedish hockey player video or the dark musician, and it just comes across a little bit more natural. Cool. So then I went on 2 world tours. So I said, listen, I want to do my own company. And I just went on 2 world tours. So basically, I was traveling to a new city every single week for like 4 months. And then the second world tour was like, I think it was over a year. So think about like a new city every week to 2 weeks for an entire year. So it was cool. I got to teach people all over the world. I got to teach people in Spain, Portugal, England, Germany, Italy. I went to Japan, Korea, Thailand. I had a month-long program I did in Thailand. I did, what else? I went to South America. I went to cities all over the US and Canada. And yeah, Johnny says, I can't imagine how much you learn traveling like that. Yeah, one of the interesting things you find is that you find what's universally attractive. So women are women, right? Women have largely the same biology no matter where you are on the planet. So they respond to the same principles. However, the ways in which you do certain things changes. So based on the cultural context, but you get this like nice, like honed in sense of game from traveling. You also like, that's one of the reasons why I know you guys see me like do infields. I'm always speaking the girls' language. It's like everywhere I go, I just ask like, hey, how do you say these words in your language? How do you say hello? There's like 5 to 10 phrases I learned almost every place I went to, except for Hungary, because that language is fucking ridiculous. Cool. So I got really burnt out on the world tour, and there was a 2-week trip I took. It was actually really fun. It was my first trip to Colombia. My buddy's like, hey, you got a 2-week gap. Let's go to Colombia. I want to show you Colombia. And this is my buddy Casey. If you look up Casey Redbeard, he actually analyzes my Instagram too, if you guys want to see that. But yeah, I was with Casey. He invited me to Colombia. It was 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, let's just say I had a good experience, and the local women were very friendly there. And during that trip, I met a girl who I really, really liked. And I was like, hey, listen, I have to leave. I have 3 months left of a tour in Europe, but I want to come see you again. I want to come back to Colombia. And so I finished out my tour in Europe, and I had some good experiences. There's a couple pulls in the course and a couple infields that are from that last 3 months. But largely it was just focused on teaching students and then flying. And honestly, toward the end of the trip, it's like I just got nauseous flying. I walk into an airport and get nauseous because of just, when you're flying in planes all the time, it's like recirculated air. You got the radiation, you got the gas fumes, the shaking, the vibration, changing your sleep schedule, your circadian rhythm, new place you're sleeping. I later found out after the tour, the reason why your sleep suffers so much on a tour is because it takes about a week for you to get the same level of deep sleep that you do at home in a new place. So for the first like 7 days, you're just kind of like deteriorating. Your sleep is bad. So after that tour, went back to the US, got my stuff, moved to Colombia, and I moved into a penthouse with David Bond, Dave, and who else?
Casey.
Oh yeah, and Casey. So it was really kind of interesting household. It was like it's like the who's who of like the actual manosphere that helps people. Um, except for Dave, who's wants to be anonymous. Um, yeah, so it was crazy. It was like a fun house. I had my girlfriend there. You know, I had my setup. We had like a private chef. In Colombia, everything's super cheap, so it's like I was paying like $600 for a room at this penthouse, and then like we split all the expenses, so it cost like me $75 a month for a personal chef or something, and then we had the cleaners, and then I noticed one of my friends had like in-person Spanish lessons, and I was like, bro, I need to do in-person Spanish lessons. So I got his Spanish teacher. She was really good. And then I got another in-person Spanish teacher. We kind of all went our separate ways after that month. And then we uh, got into another place, and it was just cool seeing like different places in Colombia. It was kind of annoying. So you'll quickly find living in Spanish countries that they think that everyone there is there for hookers and cocaine. So like if you have a girlfriend, they're like, this is a hooker. And I'm like, this is my girlfriend of several months. So it's kind of really insulting and weird. But anyway, so I was dating the girl. She was fucking awesome. I was just fully monogamous for 6 months. Keep in mind, I had like 2 years that I was just traveling the world, fucking new girls all the time, and like unable to have relationships with them because I'm always moving to a different city. So it's like very like emotionally traumatizing to not be able to explore things further with girls. Like my personal thing that I love to do is have like a nice fling with a girl that I meet, and like, you know, you see each other for like 2 or 3 months. It's great. And then also if there's something you want to explore further, then you have that ability, but you don't have that when you travel. So after that, you know, I'm in Colombia, got this awesome girl. I was just like, fuck it. Let's do fully monogamous for 6 months. And I did it. It was fucking awesome. We had great experiences. We went on, you know, we traveled together. We went to, not traveling, but, you know, locally. We went on like hikes and stuff in Colombia. I had my assistant Joao with me at the time, and he was just absolutely demolishing girls, bro. He was like, dude, he was also like the most jacked he had ever been in his life at that point, and he's like naturally like wide shoulders. He's has insane game. He's actually one of my previous students in that first world tour I did. I met him, awesome guy. We've been friends ever since, and yeah, there's a few people I meet where I'm like, this guy's a brother for life, and that was definitely Joao. So, yeah, we were living together, and we started like throwing parties and stuff. And this is back in the day. This is what 2018, and this is when I found out about Instagram ads for dating. So we had our buddy there, Shosh, who he was an internet marketer. All he does is ads for YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So his, if you want a good marketing guy, I don't know if anyone wants one, is Links Digital Agency. You type in the Shosh on Instagram _ the Shosh. Amazing internet marketer. But we would throw these parties, and he would promote the parties through Instagram ads. So there's like one of the ads where there's like throwing a girl in the pool who's like announcing the party. And then other ads are just like linked to previous videos taken at the parties and photos. And so it was one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. I know people have been doing, you know, people have been using ads to get girls since like the original Google AdWords came out in like 1999 or whatever. But it was a very interesting thing to use it on Instagram and Facebook to meet girls for parties. I thought it was really cool. So these, by the way, these are the most fun parties I've ever been to. They were just awesome. Like I think it was like a Halloween party or something in Colombia. It was like the best party I'd ever been to in my life. It was just fun people, great environment. Um, just like the vibe was right. I don't know how to put it. The ratio was perfect. Um, Says, is Instagram ads in the course? Yes. Literally anything you guys can think of as a strategy is in the course. And I even bring on people that are experts at things that I'm not experts in to talk about in the course. So like harems is something I haven't done yet. I will do it. But I brought on David Bond to speak on harems, and that's in the course. So I had him analyze, like, what's your entire funnel like? How did you learn this? How did you implement it? What are the steps along the way? So it's a really cool thing about the course. But yeah, so the cool parties in Colombia, you can fix it. And then what else? Yeah. And then 6 months into my relationship with my girlfriend, I was like, listen, sex with you is awesome. Like, dude, the porn I have filmed with my ex is insane. I'm never going to release any of it, but it beats most porn on the internet. She's fucking insanely hot and sexy. And the stuff we did was, I'm going to need a lot of prayer. Oh, okay. Need a lot of prayer to get over. But at a certain point, I'm like, hey, listen, I don't want to be monogamous. However, I don't want to cheat on you. I want to tell you, and then I want to experiment with having threesomes. So eventually she was kind of resistant to it. And then she basically opened up to me and she's like, listen, you know, I'm bisexual. I love girls. And I feel like if we do this and I know that you're not going to leave me, I feel like it would work. So basically what we did is I started going out with her. So I just bring her out to a nightclub. We just go out for a fun night and then come home. And then we started, going out, and I'd have her talk to a couple girls, and then we'd go out and she'd kiss a couple girls. And then I just have it gradually increase to the point that we were pulling. So you guys may have seen the video. There's like me dancing with two girls in Colombia. That's like one of the first threesomes we had. And so we were kind of working on the skill set. At this point, I've only had like 2 or 3 threesomes. Oh, no, I had more with my ex in Toronto. I'd only had like 5 or 6 threesomes in my life, and they were like, a year or two in the past. So I kind of had to relearn it. I went over my notes. Keep in mind, I take meticulous notes on everything. Carl says that I'm autistic with Notion. Like I just have a Notion document for everything. I'm like, let's pull up the document. Don't worry, I have the documents. And yeah, so we started trying things out, started having some threesomes, and it was fucking awesome, dude. The feeling you get, first of all, it makes your leadership go to the next level, because you have to like be so overly dominant leading 2 girls that are engaged in conversation than it is to just lead one. So we got pretty good at it, pretty proficient. And when we went to like a month-long trip to Colombia or to Mexico, even though we had gotten food poisoning 3 times during that month, we managed to have like 2 or 3 threesomes during that month. Then went back to Colombia. I threw a party. So the end of my immersions used to just be a party. So the last day, everyone just invites every single girl that they haven't met up with to the party. And that way it's like a social circle event. So that party, I had my girlfriend invite her friends as well. And basically she was very determined. She's like, tonight we are going to have sex with 2 girls. Like I have screenshots of this. It's like sometimes we'd have to use Google Translate for like more complex ideas. And yeah, it was also like kind of a covert way to communicate with her. So we basically had a foursome from that party. So things are going really well in terms of that. So I'd say that's like my next level game. The sixth phase of the game, I think I was hitting that 2018, 2019. And yeah, so that was cool. What else? So yeah, at this point, I'm running immersions. I'm getting much better at coaching. Coaching is something that actually is much harder to do than game. Coaching, I feel like it's taken me quite a while to get extremely good at coaching. And now I can spot issues like this. I can see just based on how a guy dresses, what that communicates, just based on how a guy communicates, how he speaks, how he reacts to different environments, how he treats waiters in public. That's one of the reasons the in-person programs I do are pretty solid, is that I can see exactly what's going on. Like another thing is you can't smell people over a screen. So I'd have programs where I'm like, okay, everyone ready to go, everyone good. We get in the car to go to the club, and I'm like, what's that smell? And like the student just smells like absolute shit. So like, what does that mean? He has to change his diet. He has to shower, and a lot of people don't use deodorant. And I'm like, are you a human? So there's like so many random things that come up that you can't address until you're actually with them and they're face to face with a girl. Because when you're face to face with a girl, that's when all of your insecurities and stuff come up. One of the cool things about this course is I've put in all of the negative personality traits that I found most common when people are learning game. So one is, for example, the constant need to be right. When I was in high school, I was in debate club and a debate class too. And despite what you may think, I am actually very good at debate. And I was a debate nerd. So even outside of debates, I would argue online. There was a site called debate.org that I would go on. And I think unfortunately it's taken down now, but I used to debate in my free time outside of school. Anyway, what was I even talking about? Little Ben Shapiro, autistic Adam Smith. What? Oh yeah, so the course comes out September 11th, 9/11. Cool. What was I talking about right before this? Columbia, threesomes. What else? I don't know. Anyway, so let's take it forward. So after Columbia, I was in Columbia until 2020. I was actually held there. I think my whole scandal was in my Columbia media scandal thing was in 2019. And then I lived there for about a year and a half afterward. People are always like, dude, you're banned in Columbia. It's like, well, I lived there for a year and a half. So after that, so anyway, I was living there again with my girlfriend. Oh no, we did a tour. I spent 3 months outside of the country, and we went to Chile and Argentina, and that was pretty cool. I like both those places. Chile is by far my favorite country to travel to on the planet. Most interesting place ever. You have the ancient Easter Island where they have those Moai statues, those giant heads. And then Chile has the largest mountains outside of Asia. And they have the largest birds in the world. So you can literally go to this like beautiful mountain. There's like condors flying around and like mountain springs and hot springs. And it's such a cool country. Shout out to anyone from Chile. Okay. Yeah. So back to Colombia. I got trapped there because of the COVID happened. And I left in October 2020. And from there, I decided, hey, I want to move to Miami. I was dating a girl in Miami, and I'm like, you know what? I'm moving to Miami. So I moved into Miami. I moved in with Jack Denmo. I don't know if you guys know him, his videographer, and then me and my assistant. And we split this like really fucking awesome place. It's probably like the best building. Debatable now. The best building in Miami. It has like the best view. It's next to a gigantic, beautiful park that's not littered with homeless people. And yeah, it was awesome. I had a great view. So easy to pull because the view was just epic. And it was like equidistant. So I was like, all the Wynwood bars were close, all the South Beach bars were close, and all of the Brickell bars were close. So it was like equidistance between everything. And yeah, that's basically in 2021. I did more in-person coaching than anyone on the face of the planet. Because I was based in Miami. Miami opened up after the pandemic faster than anywhere else on earth, except for maybe Tampa, which never closed down. But so every single person in the U.S. and outside heard there's all these memes about Miami. When she come back from Miami, when she says she's going to Miami, literally Miami was the center of the universe for an entire year. And luckily, I had a sweet spot. I had to like fucking suck dick to get this spot because everyone wanted to move to Miami. Everyone that was locked down all over the U.S., they were like, I want to live somewhere free. Let's go to Miami. So during this part, I was coaching every single weekend except for maybe 4 weekends that year. And we had this counter. I don't know if any of you guys remember this. On my mirror there at the place was a counter for like, we called it Uno wins or like poker wins, but it was basically who fucked the most girls during their programs. So it was like I had like a leaderboard of like who could fuck the most girls during the program. So we just had every single girl in the city was basically there to travel and have fun. Like Miami in many ways is like the new Vegas, or it was during that time. It's gotten a lot worse. But 2021 was like the golden era of Miami. It was like every single hot girl that wanted to party but was unable to in their state or country came to Miami. There was also a lot of international travel to Miami for people that wanted to get the vaccine. So there's like, the vaccines came out first in the US because we have the most science. So they came out here first. And then like the people from Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, they're all flying into Miami, Miami is the center of Latin America. It is the financial hub of Latin America. They all flew in to get the vaccine. So you're like meeting these like hot foreign chicks. You're meeting these like American girls that are all flying there to party. So, dude, I had nights where I'd go out with students. We'd pull twice in the night. If you look up some of my, go to austensummers.com/results, you'll see some of these testimonials are from that time period. And it's like just pull after pull after pull. I had one guy bang 4 girls in a week and an immersion after not approaching for like years and coming out of a relationship. So that was a cool time. Eventually we got evicted. We had too many people over. Like think about your life. Like think about where you live. Now imagine every single week there are 3 guys coming in to stay with you and 3 guys leaving. Those 3 guys are also bringing girls back every single night. So imagine from the condo's perspective. It's like there's 150 guys that have been that came into this apartment. Then there's every single night they're bringing girls in. There's dates are coming back, pulls from night game, hangouts, podcast guests. It's like it was a madhouse. So I got evicted, or so I thought. I actually checked my eviction record and I never got evicted. But they fake evicted me because I was bringing too many girls in. So yeah, yeah, exactly. They're like, what is going on? This apartment is sketchy. We need these guys out. Like the average tenant of a condo does not bring in, 15 girls a weekend. So anyway, and the way that the front desk was set up at this place is like you had to walk right past security and there was like a gate and you had to like, I forget, do I like sign in or like I had to like tell the guy anytime I guess. It was fucking gay. So anyway, after that, I finished out my Miami immersion programs. At this point, I had a really, really hot, awesome girlfriend. I still think about her to this day. She's fucking awesome. But I broke it off with her because it was just not the right time. She wanted kids and I did not want kids at the time. But a beautiful girl, grew up in Eastern Europe and spent her like teenage years in the US. So basically she has like the American wit and verbal humor and stuff, but she knows another language and she's from that traditional culture. So it was like the best of both worlds, honestly. And I traveled with her out to another city, which is where I live now. Yeah, that's basically, I guess that's my entire journey in game. So, yeah, by the way, if you guys want to go through your own game transformation, join the VIP list down below. So it's awesomesummers.com/VIP. On that list, you're going to get INFIELD that you can't get anywhere else. So you can't get on YouTube. And it's going to give you like updates prior to the course about the information about the course. And also you're going to get like, there's 4 or 5 videos that we're putting out exclusively for the course launch that you'll get as a part of the list. So if you haven't, guys, join that VIP list, get on it now. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to be the guy standing on the beach as the cruise ship sails away, partying, the music fading into the distance, into the beautiful sunlight as you're stuck on the beach thinking, fuck. The course, by the way, is going to be only available for 1 week straight. So basically 9/11, course registration opens up. You can basically enter it for a week. After that week, it's closed. You can't join, even if you say, Austen, please, why? I'm not going to let you in. So 1 week straight, it's available. And then after that, it's not going to be available. So if you guys don't want to miss out, get on the VIP list down below, awesomesummers.com/VIP. And yeah, you get that exclusive INFIELD footage that you can't get anywhere else. Cool. So Chuck says, what were the most important things you developed along your journey? Biggest milestone moments? Yeah, so that was the previous 2.5 hours of this. I think you're probably just joining now. So after this ends, you'll get access to this live stream. But basically, the whole premise of my course is these are the things that every person has to go through. So it's not just me. Like, I think my story is kind of interesting, but it's also interesting in that it relates to literally every single one of you. We all go through the same process, albeit some in a different way. Some people want to take longer in the process. Some people want to get it done, as fast as possible. For the people that do want to get it as fast as possible, the easiest way to do that is to follow the same repeatable steps that everyone that gets good at game follows, and follow them in a systematic way, going through the 5 phases of game. So desensitization, so where you're basically opening up to starting these conversations with girls. Vibe, where your personality comes out. Sexualization, where you're able to make it man to woman. Strategy, where you're able to pull consistently and have dates that are done consistently and lead to sex and relationships. And then naturalization, where you make this a part of who you are rather than something that you do. And then for the guys that want to even go deeper than that, we have the 6th phase of game, which is all about creating a unique strategy that you can integrate into your life, whether it's doing TikTok, Instagram ads, threesomes, and then also, what is your end result that you want out of this whole journey in dating? Is it a relationship? Is it a marriage? Is it kids? What is it? So, yeah, that's the system. So if you guys want the system, you want my 10 years of accumulated knowledge, coaching over 1,000 people in 4 continents on the planet. Actually, well, if you include all of my mentorship students, I've taught people in 6 continents on the planet. The one I haven't taught yet is Antarctica. Maybe I should go there for a promo video. Go down to like the South Pole Research Facility or something. It's actually on my bucket list. It's not super urgent, but I do want to go to Antarctica. It costs about $20,000 though, so I'm gonna wait on that for now. Maybe in like 5 years or something. When I want to go to Africa first, honestly. But yeah, Ryan says, what if you're a Giga Chad? So yeah, if you have really high attractiveness, that's cool. One of the things, this is how you get results, is SMV times game times volume. So they're all multiplied by each other. So if you're a Giga Chad and you have shit to your game and you put in no reps, like you're not initiating conversations with girls or you're not meeting them in real life, then you're going to get 0 results. Conversely, if you have insane game, you have insane volume, you're constantly spam approaching, but you do no effort in terms of your appearance, no effort in terms of how you smell, no effort in terms of your health, no presence, no meditation, then it's going to be zero results as well. And then let's say you're really attractive and you have insane game, but you don't approach anyone, zero results. So yeah, SMV times game times volume is the way you get results. Let's see. What city in the US is best for day game for college age girls? So I'm gonna give you the secret, but I'm not gonna give you the implementation because you have to do it. So the best way to do this is find out the ratio of girls to guys in a college town. So that means a place that is not in a major city. For example, let's say there's some arts college in New York City. The effects of it of the let's say it's 80% women, 20% men. That's a 4-to-1 ratio. The effects of that are kind of washed out by being in New York City because she has access to everyone else around her in that dating market. So the best place for college is a place that has the highest ratio of girls to guys that is not attached to a larger city. So in the course, I sell the implementation in there, right? So you can implement that with my Chat GPT scripts. Cool. Slobo says, Austen, I'm getting average girls in rotation, but can't seem to get with 8s, 9s, and 10s suggestions. So that is an extremely broad question because oftentimes you're looking at it like this. I'm seeing reality from my eyes. I look out, like everyone just look out right now, look at your hand. You're like, this is what I'm seeing. I see that I get average girls, but I don't see the 8s, 9s, and 10s, right? Now, what you should do is flip that around and view yourself. What qualities do guys that get 8s, 9s, and 10s have that I am currently lacking that I can develop? So oftentimes it's a combination of things. On immersion, I usually there's like 4 or 5 major things that every guy comes in that they need to work on, but it's different for every single guy. So that's one of the reasons I made my course so encyclopedia-ish, is because if you're in the group chat and you're like, man, I feel like girls are doing like this, someone could say, hey, have you watched the video on grooming? Like your facial hair looks like shit. You're like, oh, no, I haven't. So you watch the video and then it fixes it for you. Or let's say all your interactions are ending really early. It's like, how do I get longer interactions? It's like there's 3 videos for that. You just type in longer and you can see like, oh, persistence lesson. Okay, let me go into that. Here's how to persist in the interaction. Here's how to speak in an engaging way. Here's how to kind of not give a fuck so girls, like, they don't feel like you're trying to keep them there. So for you, it could be 4 to 5 random things. That's why one of the first things we do in the course is have you introduce yourself to the group chat and say, hey guys, this is me. There's a picture of me. This is what I've been doing. Here's where I live. And then you can meet up with local guys as a wingman. You can also, when you post photos of yourself, you drop your Instagram in the wingman locator. People are like, hey man, I saw your Instagram. Here's some of the things I would do differently about your photos. Here's how I would meet girls differently through that. Here's how, if you're really, really, really skinny and you're not working out, bro, it's time to work out. If you're really, really fat, hey, it's time to go on carnivore diet. It's time to go on animal base. It's time to, or if you want to do it the autism way, you can do you can calculate your macros and track that. And here's what I would do for the workout. And here's walking on an incline. Listen to audiobooks or listen to this course while you're walking on an incline. So like, there's so many different aspects of game and relating to other people that you may be experiencing. So another one is just a mindset thing. How about instead of viewing girls as 8s, 9s, and 10s, you just say, hey, these are girls, and the ones I'm more attracted to, I'm just going to spend more time with. Because realistically, there are no 8s, 9s, and 10s that are universal. Some, what is this chick's name? Logan Paul's new girlfriend. What is it? What the fuck is her name? Or his fiance. I forget her name. Anyone want to post in the chat, post it. But when I saw her, I'm like, okay, this reminds me of like dating model chicks. This is why like model chicks have beautiful faces, beautiful hair, like from the neck up, it's just like they're stunning. And then model chicks from the neck down, it's like disgusting. Like literally, like the narrowness of hips repulses me to no end. Like it just screams infertility. That's literally what it is. I like women who look like fertility goddesses. So this is a guy, Logan Paul, he has access to the elites of the elites of girls based on his celebrity status. And he's choosing a girl that in my perspective is like a 4. So if he thinks that if he's trying to marry her, like he obviously thinks she's hot, right? He has abundance. He's confident. He has good game. He's attractive. He's funny. He's entertaining. He has a huge net reach. He's not like in scarcity. So it shows that like you should just be going after the girls that you are attracted to. But anyway, it's typically, and I found this universally through students. There are students who get anxious around anorexic girls. There are students who get anxious around obese girls, not because they don't like them, because they do like them. And like for me, I like girls who are shaped like fertility goddesses. That's the only way I can put it. They have wide hips, a perfect ass, and like cute faces. Some guys like the girls with like the really hot, fierce model look that have like no tits or ass and like narrow hips. Sure, you can use the course to do whatever you want to do, whatever girls you want to meet, as long as you do it in an ethical way. But yeah. So one of the mindset shifts is stop seeing them as 8, 9s, and 10s. Just view them as women. View them as like, hey, these are girls that I can meet. Because one thing guys do is they go, oh, this is a 10. I have to change things. I have to change who I present myself as. And then all their authenticity goes out the window. Being in the moment goes out the window. Being in their body goes out the window because they're in their head trying to figure out how to get this girl who's a 10, as opposed to just talking to this girl in the same way that you talk to other girls. The only real differences with talking to the most attractive girls is that you have to be a little bit more persistent over text. And then you have to be more grounded and self-assured if they shit test you. You have to, what are some of the other differences? I have a whole lesson on this, but I'm trying to recall it from memory. Trying to think. So there's a girl I slept with pretty recently who, in my opinion, is, well, actually, in the audience opinion, is a fucking 11. So I remember guys saying like, dude, this is an 11 out of 10. So with her, I validated her less. That's just one of the things. You don't go overly too complimentary with those girls because you're not dating in a vacuum, and they're interacting with men that all around them are going, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, you're so lovely. So compliments for them peg onto low value men. That's how they perceive compliments. So when you're with that kind of girl, you want to tease her more, and that's pretty much the only difference. Everything else is the same. And another trap guys fall into with the most attractive girls is they get too agreeable. So if a girl goes, oh, I love Taylor Swift, in my opinion, I'm like, listen, this is my opinion. Taylor Swift is a great singer. She's a great entertainer. She's even a great songwriter. However, the music is kind of like for NPCs. It's like the background music that NPCs are listening to. It's just like very basic, very standard, very kind of boring music. That's just the reality. It's like the female equivalent of like Drake or something, you know? Cool. So let's see.
says, are you going to leave this live stream up? I found everything to be either motivating or insightful. Yes, I will leave it up. How do I share the comment? How can I put the comment on the screen? I don't understand how YouTube is doing a live stream. You can't even put the comment on the stream. No, that's just going to pin it in the chat. Whatever. Cool. This guy says, hey, do you still think Models by Mark Manson is a recommended good book? I noticed he talks about pickup artists and game in general. Do you still recommend it? Yeah, I think it's a good book. Now, the question is, can you get good at games simply by reading Models? Obviously not. It's a portion of the thing. That's one of the things that pissed me off about courses and books is how incomplete they are. So, for example, one of my good friends, I love the guy. I'm not going to name his name, but he has like 10 courses. And it's like, bro, what does it tell people if you have 10 courses? And oftentimes they're kind of like, they're positioned in the way where, you do the course, you shut down, you close it down. And he also like gets rid of old courses too. And it's like, so what does it tell people if you have 10 courses that you've made? They all stop at some point. Does that show you that the course is complete? Does it show you that you're giving someone everything that they need to know to get good at this? The answer is no. What it shows is that you're kind of like in a money grab and you're trying to give something that is not that valuable, that covers 3% of what game is, and trying to push it off as it's like the key. Because this is a marketing thing that people will do, is they will say, hey guys, and keep in mind, this is because the human brain wants very simple answers. Human brain doesn't like nuance. The human brain doesn't like challenges. The human brain doesn't like completeness. Human brain wants one simple answer. So that's why you'll see guys, they go, hey, listen, why don't you leave all this pickup and game stuff behind and just learn social circle? Skip ahead to the 6th phase of game. That's all you need. And then you'll meet people, like I meet people who they tried social circle stuff and then they realize, oh, wait, I have no skill of game, so I can't actually close these girls that are at my house at parties. Hey, I'm weirding out the girls that I invite over. Okay, that's what happens when you skip ahead. So same thing with like, hey, just do online game. That's the secret. What about all the lessons and the personality development and all the stuff you go through when you're in the first, phase of game? How about that? I want to skip ahead. They said it's the one answer. So, yeah. What my course is it's the one. It's like the one course to rule them all, essentially. If you want to use any of those strategies that are mentioned, that's on the course. However, there is a system and a strategy. There is a predictable chronological order to learn game that no one talks about, and that's why I have it in the course. And then later on, let's say you want to use TikTok to get an unfair advantage. Let's say you want to use a big one talking about it. A big one that's going on is the passport bro thing, right? Oh, it's this new thing, passport bro, right? You're a passport bro. It's like people don't realize that people have been using geography to meet girls and have an unfair advantage for like millions of years. Like this has been going on longer than we've been human, is how long the passport bro thing has been going on. Anyway, if you're not retarded, you'll understand that. You can make use of different geographies. It's also in the course. If you want to do that. What you shouldn't do is say, hey, I've not gone through anything about learning game, and I'm going to just try to use this advantage. I think I did a live stream once. This guy was on it. He was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Tijuana, Mexico, so I can finally talk to a girl. Do you want to be that guy who's lame and using different countries to to cope with the fact that he has no game? Or do you want to just learn this skill set wherever you are, and then once you have developed it, use it anywhere you are in the world to get an insanely unfair advantage? That's what I did, and that's honestly, I can say it's much better. It's one of the reasons, actually, I do like being in the US for some points of the year. Being in the US, you have to know game. Like it's not just like dating apps in the US. You just like go on dating apps and like you meet tons of girls and they're all hot. Like dating apps in the US, they're like down pegged like maybe 2 or 3 standard deviations from. I wouldn't say that. Maybe like 1.5 standard deviation from other countries. No, some countries are obviously worse. Saudi Arabia, you can't show your face on it. So they have like literally like a photo of a book as their profile photo. But if you're in those places where it forces you to step up and you use your personality and you develop these skill sets, then you can use them anywhere on the face of the planet. And also by learning game, this is a skill set that is universal. It transcends time. It's timeless. So it's the same thing with sales, right? Timeless sales principles will apply in the metaverse. They have also applied, 4,000 years ago, trading at a market, right? So yeah, it transcends culture as well. So what I want for you guys is to basically answer the call to adventure, answer the call to go on this journey. If I've been talking to you guys about this and you feel like it's time, then it's time for the journey. It's time for this epic adventure. There's very few things that we do as men now that actually test us. There's no rites of passage anymore. It used to be, hey, you're 12, 13 years old, you go camp out in the woods for a week, and if you survive, you come back to the tribe. Hey, I got really obsessed with Spartan culture for a while. So they would literally make their kids go out and like hunt to survive, and like they'd sleep on reeds at night, like next to a river, and like, yeah, there's real rites of passage. Now we don't really have that. So you have to choose what rite of passage you want to go on. Do you want to be, like this guy says, game is a psychedelic level, rite of passage is such a different level. It is. And like I said before, game isn't just game. Game is a meta skill that teaches you everything you need to know in life. I can mention so many famous people you guys don't even know that learned game. You want to know a cool one? What is that? Charisma University. What's the guy? You know what I'm talking about? Just type in YouTube charisma. No, go to YouTube. Charisma on Command. So Charisma on Command, that guy used to do game, and I think he used to be a game coach. Who else? Brandon Carter. So I interviewed him for the course. He's like a business coach now. He started out talking to like, I think 1 or 5 girls every single day at his college campus. Like that's how he learned game. And all these people, because when you learn game, you're doing something that's somewhat outside of the norm, and it enables you to kind of see these other parts of the world. So that's why you see a big commonalities with game is guys that are into entrepreneurship, guys that are into world travel. If you guys are part of the course, you get access to that whole community. So I have an entire community of people. I already beta launched this course on 420. So there's over 150 people in the course right now that are in that group chat. And when you guys join, you get access not only to them, but to new guys as well. So you can basically use this as a resource when you travel. Hey, I'm going to go travel. Can I stay with you when I come to your city? Let's game together. Boom. So it enables you to have this like network of guys who are successful, smart. They're going out, meeting girls, they're improving themselves. And yeah, something that you would not have access to otherwise. Like, where else do you have access to a community of people who are kind of like your tribe that are doing exactly the things that you want to be doing? So cool. So let's see. It's easy to see guys who did game. I think picking up is the most fun thing a man could do. Yeah, especially, I mean, for a younger guy, it's like that is the fun thing to do. It is a fun journey to go on. Yeah, in my opinion, like the sequence almost to do life in is to understand how your hormones play a role in this too. So when you're young, you have a time where you can focus on, you can build more muscle than you can anytime in your life, right? So when you're young, building muscle and building social connections, that should be like two things that are very high priority, because when you're 45, you can't develop the same amount of muscle that you can retain for your lifetime. When you're, 62, what are you going to wish? You're going to wish you were meeting more girls when you're younger. I actually just finished a podcast with, who's that Korean guy? He's like a comedian. He's like very abrasive. Bobby Lee. Yeah. Bobby Lee talked about how like he regrets like when he was younger he didn't meet more girls. Like he's like fucking like now it's
Gary Vee also said that.
Yeah, Gary Vee too. So there's a time in your life, call it 18 to 35, 40, where you have like your hormones are good. You're able to like proactively go out and meet girls and like fuck several times a day. And, that should be time when you're meeting girls, and it should be time when you're working out. And then, me now, I'm 30. I feel like my hormones are starting to kind of allow me to focus more on other things. I've gotten the sex thing out of my system. I've fucked enough girls for several lifetimes. And if you look at the stats, I've fucked enough girls for like 25 or 26 lifetimes. So I don't necessarily need more sex, but what I do feel now is a desire to give back, as a desire to contribute, a desire to give value. And yeah, it's another thing. All the money I get from this course, I'm going to put back into creating more content for you guys. I'm at a point now where I'm like, I don't even see the point of like a condo. I'm like, why am I spending money on this? Like the coolest things in life are creation. It's creating cool content, creating cool videos. So that's going to be my goal. And this course is going to enable me to do that. So I'm basically going to be having a way that I can, generate money so that I can go out and make more content for you guys. Because I've been to that point. If you guys heard my whole story, I've been at the point where, I've been depressed. I've had no friends. I've had no girls around me, being isolated, and I know what it feels like. Cool. So we're coming up on 3 hours. So if you're still here listening 3 hours in, that tells me that you take this content seriously. And yeah, make sure you get on the VIP list while you still can to get that INFIELD. Frederick just arrived. Well, when I end this, Frederick, you can actually, is your name Frederic André? You can watch the rest of it. But yeah, we got about 5 more minutes. I'll answer questions for the next 5 more minutes. Everyone wants to know where I'm going. I've been to Europe, 6 times. Literally got back from Barcelona, like a month ago? Yeah, 2 months ago. Do you talk about friendships in the course? Great question. And yeah, I actually have a video. It's called How to Make Friends as an Adult. Because I don't know, you can write down how old you are, but the older you get, it is more difficult to make friends. And there are a few things that I do to even make friends and maintain friendships to this age. So yeah, you're 25. It's not horrible. You are out of college, right? But there's a lot of things that I outline. I'll give you a couple of my favorite ways. Is number one, sports. So on a sports team, you are able to struggle with a group of guys. That's literally how men are supposed to bond. You can't bond with a guy just like, hey, let's just get dinner and talk. That's not how men bond. Men bond through like fucking, bleeding next to each other. Men bond through trials, tribulations, through warfare, and what is sports? Sports is essentially emulating warfare. You're on a team, you have an in-group, out-group bias. you're going through something difficult together and you're supporting each other through it. That's what sports is. Yeah, and like he says, volleyball is super social. So I'd recommend sports, ultimate frisbee, volleyball, pickleball, literally anything. And you're just being physical. You're in the moment. You're being social. You can also, it replaces like your leg day. If you do like a bunch of gym stuff, you can replace like your leg day at the gym with just going around sprinting. You still should do leg day like once a week or once every 2 weeks just to make sure your squats and deadlifts are good, because there's explosiveness that can come from that helps you in sports. But yeah, sports is definitely one of my favorite ones. I get another one just out of Louis, poker, setting up poker nights. How has your experience with game affected your perception of women and long-term strategy with women? Yes, it has. I used to find many more girls attractive, but I found now my type gets more and more specific. And then also, I understand like what red flags I can look out for personally, and I understand what I want. So one of the things you guys do in the course is you write down your game or your girlfriend criteria. So I have like I have a guide. I basically walk you through how to get through like the 6 different categories of things that you're looking for in a girl. Most guys just, let's be real, most guys are like drowning in scarcity basically. And that's not a good way to put it. Most guys are like starving essentially. They're like homeless guys when it comes to girls. And any girl that's somewhat cute that gives them attention, they instantly want to wife up. But as you get more experience and you understand the skill set of game, you understand how like the funnel of game works, you understand like you have a lot of girls up here, you kind of filter them, the ones that you can have sex with and date, and then from there you can filter out even further and like analyze, is this girlfriend criteria or not? Yeah, so I've gotten more and more picky in terms of like personality stuff, but I realize that a lot of things that I want in a girl aren't really found, and there's things that need to be trained and standards that need to be set. Men are kind of like a cup, and women are like the water in the cup. They fit the shape of the container, so they fit into the boundaries and expectations that you set for them. So a lot of that stuff is something I've developed over time as well. What about trauma and triggers is in the course? Yes. So I have a whole video on trauma and a shit ton of resources about it. Also about how something I've never seen, which is how does trauma relate to game? Because you'll find that when you talk to girls, a lot of your inner trauma will come out. So trauma affects, unless you address it, it will continue to affect your life. As you guys heard from my story, what is some of my trauma? I had, let's say, not the best relationship with my dad, and my mom passed away. So I was missing feminine energy. And then I also simultaneously didn't have a male role model to follow. On top of that, very young, I was very isolated. I felt unlovable. I felt like a piece of shit. So these are all beliefs and traumas that were like internalized into who I was. And what the point of dealing with trauma is to not to get rid of what happened to you. That will always have happened to you. It is understanding how to let it stop affecting your life, right? There'll always be a little part of you that feels those things, but you can overcome. What does it say? Trauma affects others around you, sucks to deal with, but if you can't do it for yourself, do it for others. Yeah, this is a very good point. And you'll find that a lot of this is, again, another thing covered in my course, and a lot of courses don't cover. A lot of your inner game impacts your outer game, right? So how you view yourself, how your trauma impacts the people around you. And you'll notice some people, this is especially guys when they're seeing a girl and she leaves or something. If a guy has abandonment trauma, his father left him very early on. He can have an abandonment trauma reaction to when a girl leaves. So it is very complex. And I will say, I don't think my course will completely solve your trauma. It will give you the steps to get on that path, though. So, for example, I have a network of people that can do EMDR, which is one of the therapies to deal with single event trauma. I have resources for this, right? And I cover all the ways that trauma affects your life and affects your relationship. So, how do you deal with breakups? Yeah. So I cover that as well. There's a couple ways that people do it. How I deal with them is I get sad for a while. I cry about the breakup. I process it. And that's one of the things with trauma. When you understand trauma is happening, if you understand that it's happening and you process it and you don't try to shy away from it and you fully feel the emotions and you express like out loud or writing down what you're going through, it can release some of that for you so it doesn't affect you. Cool. Let's see. Yeah. So anyway, I deal with the breakup, and then after that, I go out and I meet a shit ton of girls. So there was this saying back in the old community. It was people would ask something like this, and the solution was GFTOW, is like go fuck 10 other women. So you'll find that like if what you do is okay, let me preface this. Your brain is trying to get you to survive. Secondary goal is to get you to reproduce. So if you broke up with a girl that you were banging, your brain is like, I'm reproducing with this girl, right? I'm going to have a child with her. Now, when you break up with her and you're not seeing anyone else, what your brain does is it goes, oh, that was the last option that I had. I don't know if you guys have ever had this like a time of scarcity where you start you're just envisioning or you're having dreams about girls, like even at night, about girls that you could meet up with because your brain wants you to reproduce, right? So if you have no one else to talk to, your brain's just going to keep reverting back into that girl. I miss her. I want her. It's okay. There's the girls that I've dated, 10 years ago where I'm like, damn, I miss this girl. This would be cool to hang out with her. But yeah, by meeting other girls, it takes the focus off of that one girl. And you realize that the world is insanely abundant with women. Frederick says EMDR is weirdly effective. Went to a mainstream psychologist who did it and was the best money ever spent. Yeah, I think it's 90% effective with like 4 30-minute sessions or something like this. It's like the studies on it are nuts. Let's see. Okay. Jack says, I noticed in the models book he talked bad about pickup artists and pickup lines in games, so it didn't make sense because you believe in game and pickup. Yeah. So back when he wrote the book, what's his name? Mark Manson. Back when he wrote the book, was a time when pickup was like largely scripted. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a time where people used full routines. So that's when they met a girl all the way to when they had sex with a girl. They were essentially running a script of something that they read in a book. They like literally memorized a routine of an entire like book basically. And that's how they talk to girls. So that is extremely cringe. Like imagine faking everything about who you are to get a girl. And I don't think that's not just unethical. It's just kind of lame. It's like, bro, you guys see me. I'm fucking kind of weird and quirky and funny. And like, I get laid a lot. So if I can do it with my personality, like you guys can do it with yours. I'm definitely outside the norm when it comes to my personality, right? I'm very expressive. I'm very it's funny because part of me is like I didn't used to be so expressive. I used to kind of hide my opinions and be a little bit too agreeable. But yeah. So I would agree with him. I'd say, yeah, if you're a pickup artist memorizing, thousands of routines and lines, then it's a bit weird. what I believe is there's an 80-20 with it, right? So 80% of the time, you're being your authentic self, you're expressing yourself, you're just building chemistry, you're building that connection between you and the girl. You're talking about things that are going on in your life and her life, etc. And then 20% of the time, there's like these optimized lines that you can use. So, for example, if I can't think of anything, I usually think that the best opens are kind of spontaneous as long as they hit the format of like ACII. The best opens are spontaneous, but if I can't think of anything, I just use my default open. Hey, excuse me, I was on the way to get coffee over there, and then I saw you with your cute snakeskin shirt, and I thought you looked adorable. Want to say hi? What's your name? Boom. So, yeah, 20% of the time, you may come into these things where it's like, oh, I'm going to tell a story I used to tell. I'm going to tell, I'm going to use this line that I know it works. I'm going to screen for the things that I know I need to screen for. Right. So, hey, what part of the city do you live in? Right. I'm going to say that regardless of what interaction. Also, if I'm being authentic, I'm going to say that too, because that's just what works. So, cool. Yeah. And the big issue with the guys that you mentioned in that super chat, by the way, thanks for the super chat. I have to find a way to get money out of YouTube. I feel like I've gotten 100 super chats like when I've gone live, and I don't even know where the money is. But okay. Yeah, I would agree. Also, one of the things that is valid is that past a certain point of meeting girls, your values will start to shift, and you'll understand that, like, listen, getting girls is fucking awesome insofar as it's helping you get to your goals in life, right? So there are people that, they've slept with, like my buddy Dave. He slept with, I don't even know at this point, 700 girls. And it's like, bro, like, what is your ultimate goal in game? Are you going to like have kids at a certain point? Do you want a girlfriend? Or are you just going to like be single forever? And I don't know. So most guys, what I found is they go out, they game, a lot of the guys in my mentorship, they'll get like 20, 30 lays, and then they'll be like, you know what? I'll just get a girlfriend. And that's fine. I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy to go out, work on yourself, work on your self-development skills, work on your ability to talk to women, to fuck women. And then from understanding how women work, understanding what the red flags are, understanding what you want, then you basically can choose a great girl to make it says make sure you like the video. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, like the video. Yeah, you have a girl you can pick, right? And then you go into what I call the cyclical nature of dating. This is also in the course. It's basically you have your dating phase and then you have your monogamous phase. I think this is probably how we evolved to be serial monogamous, that first we're like observing the options that we have and we're kind of exploring them. And then we choose a girl to become monogamous with. We're monogamous with her for like 2 years, and then we go back to trying a bunch of things. Now, is that every guy? I don't think so. I think there's a large part of us that we want both. We want the love and commitment of a relationship, but we also want the freedom to explore with other girls. Now, if that's not you, that's fine. I think that's how I am. And I've told that to basically every single girl that I've dated, and we've all set up some kind of arrangement where it works. Cool. So I finally have one question where I don't have it in the course. And this guy says, anything in the course about coping with feeling like shit after failing on a night out? So I don't have anything specifically addressing that topic, but I have things that I think are related to it. So for example, in the desensitization phase, there's a mindsets part of game that I think if you instituted into your own thinking, it would prevent you from having that. Because on one hand, it's probably you doing a bunch of stuff wrong, which if you understand the proper structure, you're not going to do things as bad. And then also when you have a network of people that you can go out with, they'll kind of critique your own game. So like one of the guys that I work with now, he every like weekend or something, he'll go out and game with a new guy in a new city. So he's getting feedback from people on what he can do better, right? Because I know that a lot of you guys can't afford my in-person immersion programs, but everyone on the face of the planet will be able to afford this course. So, yeah, one of the things is mindsets. So the operating system, how you're going out, how you're thinking about your approaches. Because what I tend to see with people that describe what you described is they go out, they approach a girl, and then they go, oh, that fucking sucked. And even when they get the girl's number, they're just thinking about what they did wrong in the interaction. Oh, fuck, I was weird. I waited too long to approach, blah, blah. What if you switched your mindset to what did I do well in the interaction? Oh, you know what? I was fucking awesome. I approached the girl that I was intimidated by, and I did it anyway. And, I stayed in the interaction for 3 minutes, and that was fucking awesome. The next thing is using rejection as a way to increase your state. So I got this from this exercise I developed on my program. So you approach a girl, you get rejected, you use the rejection as the opener for the next girl. And it sounds weird, but I'll give you an example. It's like, hey, excuse me, I want to meet you. And the girl's like, I have a boyfriend. So you literally approach the next girl, you're like, listen, I got a boyfriend, but I'll make an exception for you because you're fucking stunning. What's up? Boom. And then you're literally laughing because it's fucking ridiculous. And then, the girl's laughing too. Realize at night, everything is an open. Like literally me saying everything is an open is an open. Me just staring is an open. Me putting my hand out like this is an open. So you can open with the rejections. It's kind of funny. So your state ends up going up. And then interpreting everything you're doing as a positive thing. Every rejection is a brick in your palace. And also it's a way of seeing the night. A night could be you could look at it as one interaction is a win or a fail. I can tell you, no one I know that's good at game views it like that. Everyone I know that's good at game views it like this. The entire night is an interaction. You only need one girl at the end of the night. So as long as you are interpreting what you're getting back in a positive way, building up your social momentum, you're going to get into that place where you meet girls more effortlessly, right? We call this like breaking through. You're going to break through that point. You're in the sweet spot. You're in state. You're in the God mode, whatever. And it's much easier. You don't need to rely on it. Remember, one of the mindsets is, however I feel right now is good enough. I've had back-to-back nights with my old roommate where we pulled before entering the venue. Like we go out, we park our car, we walk across this parking lot that has like a pizza shop there, and then we meet like 3 girls, and then we pull those 3 girls. So however you feel right now is good enough, I accept it. The way through emotions is acceptance. Your emotions also come in waves. So sometimes if I feel like I'm really out of it, I'll take a step back and I'll just kind of chill with certain students. If they get stuck, I do lead them through like an active meditation. So bring them out of the venue, put them up against the wall, relax, and I have them like visualize. And then we just do like a basic mindfulness meditation and then throw them right back in. And then oftentimes they get over that roadblock. So yeah. Abby says the course up for a week. Yeah. So September 11th, mark your calendars. That's when the course goes live. And it's going to be available for 1 week. Cool. What is the ACII format for opening? Attention, context, intent, introduction. Thanks, Frederic, for the, what is it? Is this Norwegian kroner?
That's a good currency.
Damn, bro. Thanks. It's like $18. Cool. Could sleep with Chuck says, why only a week? Because that creates urgency. If you don't have a time period to get it, you guys are gonna be like, just whatever. And then you won't change. And then you won't improve your life. The same reason why there's money on the course instead of it being free. It's because I'm doing what's optimal for you to change your life. If everything I did for game was free, I wouldn't be here. I've spent over $50,000 in different coaching programs, self-development events, going out to different cities, meeting people, working for free with my mentor. I've put a lot of money into this, and I know that if I didn't put money into this, no one else would. Because when you pay attention, right? I could give this out for free, but then you guys wouldn't make a change. So there's the same reason why, like, I bet a bunch of you guys have like free books like this on your computer that you haven't gone through, or maybe even some free courses, or maybe even some free, I don't even know. So I'm doing what is necessary in order to get you guys results. So yeah, Frederick says you value what you invest in. That's why, dude, like whenever I get information, even if it's for free, I find a way to pay for it. So if someone once gave me like a really valuable tip that helped me, I pay it back. So it's funny, some of the money I'm going to get from this course, I'm going to give it to some of my previous mentors that taught me for free, right? I'm going to give it to some of my old employees as well to help me. I'm going to give it to one of the guys that inspired me to go on my first trip. So I want you guys to keep in mind that I am not an island unto myself trying to learn this. All around me, I had voices telling me things, helping me along the journey. So actually, one of the guys I interviewed for the course, his name's Maxime. He's a famous musician now. And he was on like the X Factor, like the French version or something. And yeah, I'm going to give him some money too, because he inspired me. He and his buddy Max Boston on the road, or Boston on the road or something, they inspired me to do my first trip. And they're like, bro, you don't need to figure all this out. Just go, just book your flight and then figure this out. You'll figure it out along the way. That's part of the journey. So all along my journey, I've had people help me, and yeah, I'm going to pay it back to them as well. So let's see. Austin and I have a tough time putting on weight. Any tips for a fellow hard gainer? I feel like 10 extra pounds really helps my SMV. So I am not a fitness coach. I will say this. These are some of the things I've learned. Leading up to, when was it? When did I hurt myself? Leading up to February. February was the most jacked I had ever been in my life. Unfortunately, I injured myself then, and then I got surgery in April. So basically just started lifting again. But I'll give you these tips. Actually, this is in the course too. This is in the health and aesthetics part. Is a whole like basically the 80-20 of working out. So if you know about working out, 3 biggest things are consistency and progressive overload. So consistency means you're just going to the gym consistently. Frequency over duration. And then progressive overload, you can add more weight, you can add more reps, you can add more time under tension, you can focus more on your mind to body connection and your form. So there's always a way to add progressive overload. One of the best things that I've honestly recently, the past 2 years I've been implementing this, it was just basically, I don't move on to the next weight until I have done my previous weight for like 2 extra sessions. And that's like a injury prevention thing. And the one day that I didn't abide by that, I fucked my neck, and I'm literally still recovering. I'm like 98, 97% recovered. But yeah, never try to skip ahead. It's the same thing in game. It's like the same thing in life, right? Everyone wants to skip ahead. And if you just do the steps necessary and you do them systematically and you do the 80-20, you get the results. So consistency, progressive overload. The other thing is making sure you're eating enough calories and enough protein specifically. There is no downside to eating more protein, basically. I will say there's a caveat there. There's no downside to eating more than like what the recommended daily dose is. 1 gram per pound of body weight is about how much you can process. And then if you're on gear, I think it's more. But yeah. So keep in mind, I'm not an expert at this, but yeah, 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein is necessary. And then the only slight disadvantage of consuming more protein is that you're adding more calories or you're taking calories away from protein and fat, away from fat and carbs. So carbs are essential. They help shuttle nutrients into your muscles. And then fat is necessary as well. Anyone that demonizes a macronutrient is dumb. Now, how much carbs do you need? Couldn't tell you. I'd actually just focus on Paul Saladino. He's like my main nutrition plug. But yeah, your carbs that you get should honestly be from better sources. So organic fruits. I like potatoes. I don't find an issue with potatoes, so I eat potatoes. If you have oxalate sensitivity, then potatoes could be an issue. And then honey. Thoughts on using alcohol to lube up socially, especially if you come from an anxious background? I wouldn't do it. It's better to raw dog reality. Yeah, there's so many advantages. I have a whole video on alcohol. So I think it's like a 15-minute video in the course, and it's all about like, what do you do if a girl asks if you drink or you don't drink? Also, the advantages of it, the disadvantages of alcohol. Like, literally, the funny thing is it's beyond just your actual game. Your other things that belay your game or that support your game get impacted by alcohol as well. So one of the examples is testosterone. Who here wants testosterone? Put a high T in the chat, or just put a T in the chat if you want testosterone. Like, you want to like have extremely high testosterone. My testosterone, by the way, is around 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. So I am top 1% testosterone right now. So we all want testosterone. Guess what is the most estrogenic compound ever discovered by science? The most estrogenic compound ever discovered by science is this compound in hops, which is in beer. So the highest estrogenic thing that you can consume on Earth is an IPA. So no IPAs. The least bad thing to consume as a guy would be something very distilled like vodka, but also drink it with like water or sparkling water. And obviously, any alcohol you consume is bad for your health and bad for your testosterone. But if you're like, what's 1 or 2 drinks that I could have, it'd be that. Just like something very distilled, like gin or vodka with water. So yeah, testosterone is impacted by alcohol. Your ability to pull at the end of the night is impacted by alcohol. Your ability to make money is impacted by alcohol. You know what? For me, the reason I quit alcohol was within 24 hours, I had like 5 horrible experiences, all caused by alcohol. I brought a stunning girl back. I couldn't get my dick hard. I never saw her again. I then went out with Vadim to go game and meet another girl to just get over the girl that I lost. And my car was hit by a girl as I was in park, like waiting for like my turn lane. And I got blamed for it because people in left turn lanes usually get blamed for it. I got breathalyzed by the cops. I was under the legal limit, but the whole experience was like fucking traumatic. I lost my car. And then the next day I like couldn't work because I was like kind of hungover and feeling weird. So it's like, after all that, I'm like, never again. Just never again. It's fucking dumb. I'm like, is this a part of who I want to become and who I'm becoming? No, it's not. And then I realized, like, without alcohol, I'm actually like more fun and more cool without alcohol. And I developed that skill set because you develop your personality around the state that you find yourself in the most. And if you develop your skill set around alcohol and being drunk, then you need alcohol to access parts of that personality. So I decided, hey, if I raw dog reality and just, meet girls sober all the time, then I don't need alcohol. So yeah, this is Frederick makes the best argument is that alcohol is cultural and how people connect. So in those cases, like just have something else that you're drinking. Does it matter that you're drinking alcohol? Not really. Actually, I've been on some boat trips and some yacht parties and stuff. And you know what I bring is I just bring like Liquid Death or like San Pellegrino. They have like these tall cans, and it's just like sparkling water with flavoring. And I just drink that, and then everyone else on the boat, like I literally had people like, "You don't drink? What are you talking?" Like after like a week after, like you don't drink it. You were drinking on the boat, and I'm like, "Oh no, that was sparkling water." It's like, but yeah, you can also use that fact that you don't drink as a way to improve your confidence. Right? It's like, or your perception of the girl. She's like, "You don't drink? I thought you were a little tipsy." You're like, "No, I'm just naturally kind of confident." Like other guys, they may need alcohol. I don't need alcohol to talk to girls because I just found like my favorite way to deal with life is I just raw dog life. I also tell the story when people bring this up. Like my last surgery I went on, I had a jar of pain meds, and I know that I don't want to take pharmaceuticals that are unnecessary. So I just raw dogged my surgery recovery. I dealt with all the pain myself. When I don't know if you guys saw that nose thing, they pull like the splint out of my nose. I had a vasovagal response to that where I basically started blacking out like this from the pain. And I just raw dogged it, right? I don't want to have to rely on pain meds. Same thing. I don't have to rely on alcohol. That's not a part of being cool to me. It's like, oh, I need it. I should do like a Andrew Tate style rant about how alcohol is for fucking losers. What kind of caliber of man needs a drink to talk to a woman? It's like, oh, what's the problem with alcohol? I just told you, little bitch. It's for betas. And I'm not a beta bitch that needs beer. I raw dog that shit. I raw dog reality. I face my fears. I face my anxieties. I step up. I'm a man. It's called being a man. Oh my God. Austen doing Tate is scary. I'm assuming you didn't sleep much during recovery. I actually slept okay, but I think my first night was like 2 hours or something. Like my sleep. Also, I took like 11 steps my first day. Cool. All right. This is 3.5 hours. I'm going to stop this so that, people that want to replay this can enjoy it. My lithium orotate's kicking in, bro. This shit got lit, bro. That lithium orotate. You know what I recommend instead of alcohol? Lithium orotate. Talk to your doctor, though. I don't know if it has anything. I literally buy it on Amazon. $10 for lithium orotate is like 200 doses or 210 days worth. So, yeah. Also, I like the idea of like not taking it for a while, then taking it. It's so good. This is what I'm talking about. If you guys want to orotate, this is, I think, next to, it may be actually spelled like this, orotate. I think next to creatine, this is like the supplement I've taken that has the most noticeable effect. And I think it's one of the most science-backed supplements. But I'm going to test it with more and more people. If you guys do start taking it, just shoot me a message on Instagram and like tell me like your experience with it for like for a few days. Because by day 2, when I was taking this, it was good. And then by like day 5 or 7, dude, I was just laughing at everything. I was like such a good mood. We were in that taxi in New York City with our students or the car. And dude, I was just like, we were cracking up jokes about the song called Wolf Totem. You want to listen to Wolf Totem with me? Dude, I was like such a good mood. But I take 5 milligrams and per day. But I've also I have a couple guys that I coach that are pharmaceutical researchers. So I actually asked them, and they're like, yeah, it's good that it has a nice benefit for you. Like sometimes, certain things can be missing in your neurochemistry or whatever. And for whatever reason, dude, this completed whatever I was missing, and I feel like infinitely better on it. So if you guys are like naturally kind of happy and naturally like pretty good mood all the time, I don't think this will do much for you. Like Carl took it, but Carl's basically like a golden retriever. I took it, and bro, I feel so good. I actually heard about it from my old roommate. He had some depression in his family and whatnot, and he had traumatic upbringing, and he started taking lithium orotate, and it was a pretty big, like it's a significant change in his mood. So probably for most of you, you won't feel anything, but for me, I felt a lot. Yeah. And he says creatine and zinc for him. Yeah, dude, I'd take creatine and zinc as well. The other thing for me was Alpha Brain, which I don't know if Alpha Brain has rhodiola rosea, but also rhodiola rosea have been pretty great. But anyway, guys, this isn't a supplement talk. This is a game transformation talk. So yeah, basically, hopefully you guys got a lot out of this. You understand, my background, where I started in game, some of the trials, tribulations I've been through, some of, realizing that I've been through the same self-doubt, the same period of like, dude, I spent 3 months with approach anxiety, not able to talk to anyone. What else? Yeah, you heard my whole story. You've heard my whole transformation. You've heard about the course. You've heard about lithium orotate. I mean, what else do you need? So if you want to learn more about the course, put your email in the link down below. Go to austensummers.com/VIP. Get on the VIP list today. We're sending INFIELD. So leading up to the course, September 11th, you're going to get notifications for 5 videos in that. There's going to be INFIELD that you're going to be receiving that is not available anywhere else. It's not going to be on YouTube. And by getting on the VIP list, you get access to that. And again, these INFIELDs, it's not just I go out and talk to a girl. It's, I go out, talk to a girl. It's being filmed. I have someone edit it. I have to pay them to edit it. We review it. We upload it. We make sure we mute all the personal information. We blur it. That's a nightmare. It's a lot of work. We're putting a lot of work for this so that you can view this. So get on the list, VIP list down below, and put in your email, and I'll be sending you an email shortly. And yeah, Game Transformation launches 9/11, September 11th. So mark that in your calendars, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm looking forward to your own personal game transformation. Believe it or not, guys, I actually follow up with my students. When you're in these group chats, I see you guys year after year. I stalk you for years to see your transformation. So I do actually care about your transformations. I do actually care, and I'm excited when you guys get your wins. So yeah, that's it. See you guys in the next video. Game Transformation launching 9/11. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.